If you've ever dreamed about installing your own private golf simulator in your house, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Monday. It's March. Monday, March 3rd, new month, new way. Benzinga's pre-market playbook is here to get you ready for everything. I hope that you folks all had a great weekend. Feel like there was a lot of news that happened Friday and over the weekend, and us as market participants are tasked with sifting through that. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And I've got a special treat for you. We got kind of a packed show here today. Of course, we're going to have Matt Money Maley on during the regular session, but we missed Tim Melvin last week, and he missed all of you. So he's going to join us here this morning in the pre-market. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for March 3rd, 2025 starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. And I gotta say, I missed you folks over the weekend. I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to see a whole bunch of returning faces joining us here again today. Happy Monday. I hope that you enjoyed your weekend with friends and family. Kayla, good morning. Welcome back. Artisan Custom Homes. That sounds awesome. Welcome back, boss. How's the housing market going? You got any inside tips for us? Let us know. Steve, good morning. Good to have you again. Paul, welcome back. Good to have you again as well. Crimp Biscuit and Jay Harris, locked in. Love it. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. You got FOMO for Bitcoin? Were you gloom and doom? Bitcoin going to 20K? Oh my God, it's all over? Wrong. Welcome back, Florida Yacht Insurance Guy. Good stuff. Couch Potato, good morning. Welcome back. Chuck, welcome back. Reaching Financial Freedom, welcome back. Good morning. Let's hope this week gets better for me. As long as you are participating and you have the chance to fire away, you hold your destiny in your hand. I believe you, Reaching Financial Freedom. Be tactical. You got this. Allsorts, good morning. Welcome back. Jim Ferrari, welcome back. Welcome back. Producer, it's good to see you as always. Thanks for all your help all the time. Jonathan, welcome back. Drew, it's great to see you. Shadowed One, welcome back. Jane, I know you're locked in, ready to go. Daramog, welcome back. Yassine, welcome back. We got all types of up and down weather here in Chicago, Yassine. My goodness. 3D checking in. Welcome back, 3D. Day Trader checking in. Day Trader, what do you got on deck? What do you think of all of this crypto news? That's what one of the things we're going to be talking about. I really want to get your folks' opinion on all of this. The demise of crypto seems to be massively overdone. Big Bees, welcome back. Nomad, top of the morning to you. If I had a top hat, I'd tip it to you. I love that. Captain Cloudy checking in. Good morning. Neville, welcome back. Envy, Quantum, welcome back. Bernhard, White Chocolate Mocha. Charles, welcome back. Larry, JJ, John, Sun-Kissed Yogi, Philip, Fairchild, Seahorse, and Elkin. Well, we got a massive group here this morning. You guys woke up early, ready to get it done. I absolutely love it. Jeff, welcome back. Good morning. It's good to see you. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the SPY, see how everything is going. Well, we did reach that 5% pullback level. So to me, this is the big thing. There we go. This is the big thing for me. We are all kind of expecting a pullback. We have, rhetoric out of the White House that's causing volatility. We have ongoing macro situations, a lot of different levers pulling or affecting the market here. And we're all kind of waiting for this market to really correct, maybe reset some of these valuations, maybe move down to a more manageable multiple. However you want to look at it, it does seem like a majority of folks are waiting for the market to come back in, and we actually got that, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight days of selling before bouncing off of the 5% pullback level. And to be clear, this 7th day, we actually did have some selling, but it turned around, obviously, after the contentious meeting in the White House, and then closed at the highs. And then we had more positive news, and now we're gapping higher here this morning. So the big takeaway here, the big question is going to be, was the 5% pullback level, was that the pullback that the market was kind of setting up for? Basically, are we done? At least in the near term. Well, I, of course, expect the market to move down in a significant way at some point in the future. Part of me wonders was this it? maybe we chop around for a little bit. I want to know from you folks. I want to know what you folks think about this. I want to know some of the different outcomes, frankly, of this. Do we actually come back to that 200-day moving average at 570 right there, which is 12 points under that 5% pullback level? Or do we actually just rip the Band-Aid off and go all the way down to that 10% pullback level down at about 552-ish? The answer to this is important because if this market continues to bounce, whether it's bounce up to this 50-day and rejected there, or the 20-day at 602, or the all-time highs at what, 613, 613.23, does that set up for the big rollover, the big move down? I know I'm asking more questions than I'm giving answers, but these are the things that we're going to take a look at here for the SPY today. And I definitely want to get your opinion on all of that. Now, looking at where the SPY is, as I just mentioned, we are trading up here. We've got green arrows across the board in the pre-market here today. S&P futures up 0.4 here, Dow futures up 0.3 here, and the NASDAQ up 0.67%, almost 0.7 here. So green arrows across the board. Does this rally also get sold? And do we pull back? Are we able to hold this? Are we maybe able to recapture this 50-day moving average or this 598-ish level and then push towards 602? A lot of stuff to figure out here today, and I think we want to be nimble and open to whatever type of action we get here. I don't necessarily want to predict. Frankly, I'd rather react. So I'd like to get a set of varying opinions on all of this. Now, we'll see what the market does here today, but you know it would not be a proper Monday if I didn't show up here with some stats courtesy of our friend Ryan Dietrich. So here we go. First one here. March is a solid month overall, but it's the Ides of March when the bulls tend to show up. So we've spent a lot of time recently talking about seasonality. I've shared a number of charts with you about market seasonality and how, and I've shared some of Ryan's charts about market seasonality as well, about how the market is generally speaking pretty weak in the second half of February into March. And that's exactly where we find ourselves here today. So this chart right here, let me go ahead and blow this up a little bit so it's easier for you to see. This chart here showing you that the second half of March, pretty much right around my birthday, folks, showing you that right around the second half of March, things tend to be pretty good. So again, just against the backdrop of the question that I was just asking you folks, what do we see here for these next 2 weeks? Do these first 2 weeks of March, do they play out the way seasonality tells us they should? Do we get more volatility, maybe a little bit of weakness before finally firming up near the second half or maybe even the end of March? A good question, but this is something to consider here. Second half of March, generally pretty good, and this sample size is almost 75 years old. So this is a pretty good data point, if you ask me. Now, we have another stat here. March, April, May tend to be solid months in post-election years. The weak February played out as we expected and as we showed you stats the entire month for. And now, is it time for better times ahead? Good riddance, February. Better times could be ahead. S&P 500 monthly performance in post-election years over the past 74 years here. You can see March, April, and May up quite a bit. March here up 50% of the time. I believe that's, percent higher. April and May both up 2/3 of the time. And those gains pretty significant. 1.8% in April and 1.6% in March. Off of in May, off of a March that's up almost a full percent. So better times could be ahead here. Seasonality kind of tells us that. So we'll see if we actually get this to shake out. Something to keep in mind here with all the stuff that's going on. And we see, oh, you know what? I have the wrong thing shared. Sorry about that. Here's the chart. So again, this to me is the big question, right? This is, are we actually going to see this? Is the market kind of faking us out, especially right now? Are we due for some more weakness here? In fact, Joe Schmo here says we'll bounce, but still go down. So Joe, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, if that's the case, if what you're saying here plays out, And we bounce here. I noticed Mark had said feels positive day to me. So let's roll that forward here. Let's say we do have a positive day today. Let's say maybe that even bleeds into tomorrow. This market trades up a little bit above 600. Does that then set up for a downside move? Should we be looking at maybe inverse ETFs or maybe even market shorts? That's kind of what I want to figure out here today. And I know we're trying to time some of this. That can make it a little bit more difficult, but these are the things that I'm thinking about here. I want to finish with one more slide here. Years that end, this one to me actually kind of makes me laugh more than anything else. Years that end in 5 tend to be quite strong, with only 2015 lower, and that was by less than 1%. Some of those other years were very strong, 1955, 75, 85, and 95. So if you're into stuff like this, years that end in 5 seem to outperform. Of course, we're in one right now. Do you think that this holds here? Thought that this was a really just kind of an interesting stat more than anything else. So let me know. Are you bullish because the year ends in 5? Are you bullish or bearish? Producer, maybe that's what we should do here, given the new information that we got last week and then over the weekend here, and then what we're looking at here this morning. Maybe we should get the pulse of our group here. Are you bullish, bearish, or neutral? And let's see where most people fall. That would be an interesting question. Okay, that pretty much does it for Ryan Dietrich. Now let's talk about Bitcoin. I know this is what you folks are waiting to do, at least I think. Let me see. Actually, let me go back here and see if there are some of the comments here because I did miss any of that. Quantum says, I'm ready to make some money. There we go. That's what I want to hear. Good morning, Ryan. It's great to see you again. TRNR. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Day trader here is for crypto. My bags are still bruised, but it's hard to ignore the news from Sunday had a positive impact. Indeed. I guess the next question here is, do we have any more legs from this positive impact? Or was that a sell the news event? We shall see. Envious, you're getting ready to trade MSTR? I don't blame you. Jonathan, Ryan, I think we're not done. Macro data needs to come in with the labor market for the rates to keep coming in. Okay, so you're basically pulling a Powell here and saying that you're data dependent, right, Jonathan? That's at least what it sounds like to me. Let me know if I got that right. Quantum says this will be a nice bounce back until the next Trump crisis. There you go. Well, then there's your game plan, right? When there's a crisis, maybe look for some short instruments. Hans K, one scenario can be a bounce back to the 50% retracement level. Love that you're putting numbers to that. Let's go. Good stuff there. Alzort says, I still think some weakness is coming. Still think some big values are out there. We'll know better how the consumer is doing. So that's actually a really good point. Quick look at some of the economic numbers that we're expecting here this week. We got the ISM manufacturing PMI here this morning. That's going to come at about 10 o'clock, right when we have Matt on. And then Thursday, we've got the jobless claims and the import-export data. And then Friday, we've got non-farm payrolls. So we are actually expecting some economic prints here today that may kind of lead to that. Plus, here you go. Here's the earnings for this week. So it does look like we're still waiting on some more earnings. You know, folks, that the big one for me is Costco on Thursday. I mean, let's face it. Also, for most normal people that aren't me, you've got Broadcom there on Thursday, maybe even Samsara in there. Now, interestingly enough, that I noticed off this, shout out to my producer who's always got his ear to the street, Kroger CEO resigning this morning. Got a piece of news that the Kroger CEO is resigning. They report earnings before the market opens on Thursday. So what are we going to learn out of that report? What might they say about the consumer? Why is the CEO stepping down? A lot of stuff in there, and we're going to have to figure that out. Real quick, regarding the crypto news over the weekend, day trader, you're saying my favorite from that list are Sol and Bitcoin. I'm with you there. I do really like Ethereum. I am looking to leg into Sol. I'll say this week this weekend, when all of this was going down, I was preoccupied with some other real life stuff. So I actually didn't kind of track price, but I would have loved to have added some of that Sol on the lows. We'll see what happens here. Paul saying, I smell a bull trap coming. Okay. We might actually get that. Lion says, I hope you did get some XRP last week. If you did, you should be up over 30%. I did not, like I was just saying here. Did not do any crypto rebalancing or purchasing over the weekend, but that's okay. We'll wait that out here. The crypto news now could trigger Okay, the crypto news could now be the trigger for game theory. Everyone and their dog will be waiting to pile in before the U.S. government starts buying. Interesting take there. What do you think that means for the price? More volatility is what I hear there. Okay. All right, XRP and chill, LOL. Okay, good stuff. Good morning, Steve. Great to see you here. So, so what happened with the crypto? Let's talk about that. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin rally on Trump's strategic crypto reserve announcement. Analysts say that Bitcoin new all-time highs are possible this month. In fact, I had Tom Lee on CNBC this morning. He was very confident that Bitcoin at some point in 2025 is likely going to print over 150,000 per coin. That would actually make for a pretty good move here in 2020 if we get that. Nonetheless, here, the cryptocurrency market soared Sunday after President Trump announced the inclusion of blue chip coins to a U.S. strategic cryptocurrency reserve. So right off the top there, at least from my poking around on the internet, it does seem that there are, go figure, there are people in both camps on this one. Color me shocked, right? There are people that think this is a really good idea, and there are people that think this is a really bad idea. Let me know what side you find yourself on, but more importantly than that, please let me know why. We're trying to figure out what might be the best move here with crypto. So try to give reasoning for the position that you're on. What happened? Bitcoin soared past 95K after rebounding from losses from its dramatic plunge below 80K. So I actually was looking to maybe get filled at 72, 73 on just a little bit more. And of course, never got down there, but still printing in the 70K and in the 70K handle. And then very, very quickly, right back above 90K. Quick check-in on the Bitcoin futures here this morning. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. We are, Bitcoin futures, CBOE Bitcoin futures are up off the lows from overnight and this morning and holding at about 93.3 on that futures chart. So looking pretty good here. Some of those gains are holding, although we are off the highs. We're definitely not breaking down, and dips are getting bought. Really, the question is going to be, if dips continue to get bought in Bitcoin, what does that mean for the market? Does that mean that we might start seeing some more of this buy the dip mentality return to the market? Or are we still going to be in this mentality where we're selling rallies? Because that's really been the shift over the last 2 weeks here. All rallies seem to have gotten sold. We'll see if this news really kind of changes that around. Similarly, Ethereum clocked double-digit gains to rise above 2,500 following a brutal February that saw the second largest cryptocurrency plunge more than 31%. 31%. The rally came after Trump's announced the cryptocurrency strategic reserve. He mentioned XRP. Lion, I know that you've been all over that. You absolutely love that. Cardano, ADA, that's one that I really haven't played around with and I've never bought. And then Solana, which we talked about quite a bit last week here, sending these coins skyrocketing. However, after a couple of hours, Trump said Bitcoin and Ethereum would be the heart of the reserve, and he loves those two assets. This comes as no surprise to me. I've always thought from the beginning here, Bitcoin and Ethereum probably going to be the two coins that are going to be the most rock solid, or as rock solid as cryptocurrency can get. The rally liquidated 813 million from cryptocurrency markets in the last 24 hours, with 545 million in short positions getting absolutely hammered. On that, Bitcoin open interest jumped 7.26% in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, 55% of traders on Binance were positioned long on the Apex cryptocurrency, suggesting more upside in the offerings. Interesting. Couple of notes here. Chris Klein, CEO and co-founder of Bitcoin IRA, said Trump's announcement and its implementation would, quote, fuel cryptocurrency prices overall headed into the spring. Maybe that's what kind of holds the market together or makes for that better March, as we just took a look at with seasonality. You tell me. Quote, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin reach 100,000 again soon. Perhaps we'll even witness new all-time highs later this month if the positive momentum continues and market sentiment remains strong. Widely followed cryptocurrency analyst Ali Martinez observed that Bitcoin's bull run was intact, according to adjusted spent output profit ratio indicator. Easy for me to say. Note that the indicator reflects the degree of realized profit and loss for all coins moved on the chain here. He's basically showing you a graph that shows we are still in a bullish trend in Bitcoin, regardless of those pullbacks. The other thing that's kind of notable about this has to do with Coinbase. Brian Armstrong was making news over the weekend as well. He thinks having a Bitcoin-only crypto reserve is, quote, best option, end quote. While Arthur Hayes says Trump's announcement is insignificant until it gets congressional approval. So I like that here too, right? We're saying, hey, whoa, let's temper things here. Let's see if Congress approves or if this is just Trump running his mouth and maybe nothing really comes of this. So interesting take there. Let's see. Brian Armstrong, this is what I want to talk about, though. CEO of cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase believed having just Bitcoin in the reserve would be the best option, calling the asset a successor to gold. Now, Jamie Dimon, I don't know if you're here yet. I don't know if you're up. I know that this comment makes a lot of people's skin crawl. All right. We might actually be making Tim Melvin very upset by trying to compare Bitcoin to gold. I don't know. We might have to ask him that when he shows up here. But it does seem like the CEO for Coinbase here really kind of putting his punch, if you will, or his support behind Bitcoin there. White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs, who added to Trump's earlier announcement that Bitcoin, along with Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, and Cardano, would also be used to set up the national cryptocurrency reserve. So, okay. In fact, the exclusion of other Bitcoins. Okay, so in fact, even staunch Bitcoin critic Peter Schiff, boy, we love quotes from Peter Schiff, right? He absolutely loves to talk smack. Question the inclusion of assets like Ripple. All right. So, Lion, we might need a one-on-one Lion versus Peter Schiff and see how that goes. Okay. So I really want to get your folks' opinion on all of this. I'm really curious to know what you guys think of all of this and where this might lead us. I would imagine that we're going to have a lot of these stocks on deck here today. Really quickly, before we bring Tim Melvin on here, I do want to give you that short list here of some of those stocks. Let's see. We've got it right in here. Okay. So there are some obvious ones, right? Coinbase, ticker COIN, but CLSK, CAN, BITF, IBIT, Hive, Hut, Mara, MicroStrategy, Riot. There are a bunch of Bitcoin names that we can absolutely take a look at here today and follow. Big B's, I know you're licking your lips for the move here in MicroStrategy, which is up 13%, pretty much right off that 200-day. The chart is set up to absolutely explode if this continues. We'll see what that actually does. Okay, folks, as I told you before, we were very sorry that we were unable to bring on Tim Melvin last week, but we are not going to short you your Tim Melvin by any means necessary. Tim was just as disappointed that he couldn't join us. So he said, Ryan, can I make up for that? I said, sure. I was like, why don't you come on Monday morning? And Tim said, I'll be there. So let's welcome on Tim Melvin. All right, Tim, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
No problem. You guys are going to have me twice in 1 week. I hope you can, I hope we don't bore you too much.
Yeah, I sure do say it sounds like this week is going to be twice as good because of that.
Yeah. All right. And it looks like we're off to a roaring start. I see all the Bitcoin conversation going on this morning. And that's, it's no secret. I'm Charlie Munger on Bitcoin. I recognize that it's this fantastic trading asset right now. I question what the real long-term value of it is, but people sure like it this morning.
Well, and to me, Tim, that's really the $64,000 question, right? Like we've seen, I know the crypto market is up here. There seems to be some spillover into the equity market as we've got green arrows across the board here today. But my bigger question is, do we hold that? Because what's going on in the real world, the macro, the overvaluation of companies, none of that stuff changed. Part of me wonders if we hold any of these gains or if this rally gets sold here today as well.
Well, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to answer that question, but let me hit you something. I read something by Ray Michelati at Relative Sentiment Technologies this morning. Ray is brilliant. He's got a nice newsletter, and Ray, and he has an ETF out there too. Ray is a brilliant guy and a brilliant thinker, and he said, during the first administration, Donald Trump kept score by making sure the stock market was higher, and he'd do anything. Right now, the Trump administration is focusing on reducing government headcount, layoffs, lower inflation, okay, There's a third one here. Let me just go back and check my notes real quick. The big point here is you really can't do tariffs, keep inflation low, lay off a bunch of people at the federal government, and strengthen the dollar without lowering the stock market.
It seems to me like the other one that you were looking for there is interest rates. Trump, being
Yeah,
a
I'm
real
sorry.
estate guy,
Yes,
wants to lower
yes.
interest rate. So what's the answer here? Because you're doing a really good job showing that the calculus, something just doesn't add up. What's the right move here? Is it a big move down, kind of a reset of equity markets, or how does this work, Tim?
Well, I mean, the problem is I don't feel like the administration has a cohesive policy on any of this, right? Lower interest rates, lower inflation, and reduce government headcount sounds good. And I don't think anybody did the second level thought process there. These guys are using a flooding the zone strategy, which, is working pretty good. What is the impact for the stock market?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to read, except we are overvalued. Now, you've given me a lead into something that I had actually done some work on, so I'll take advantage of it here in a second. But we are overvalued. You've got uncertainty, a great deal of uncertainty on the trading speculator level and at the CEO level of America's corporations. We haven't had this much in a while because we don't know what tariffs will do. If you, in fact, lay off 300,000 government employees and you have a bunch more quit, and then you have knockoff impact with the companies that sell to the government, okay, we could be talking about over the next 3 to 4 months putting 1 million people on the unemployment rolls. What's that do to the economy?
Well, it sounds like you're talking about a recession.
I don't look, you're not going to write this down, guys. You're not going to lower interest rates, lower inflation, and lay off several 100,000 people without one.
So, just a 10,000 foot picture here, Tim. Is this the making the omelet, right? We got to break some eggs in order to make an omelet.
Well, let me put it this way: if I was Donald Trump and I looked at the world and been around the yard a time or two, I know this. Okay, certainly Scott Bessent knows it. So, do I want this recession early, right now? Get it out of the way before I get closer to the mid-year elections, which are going to be crucial for this administration. They're crucial for every administration, but really crucial for this one. So, I would do it now. Right? Go ahead. Let Elon run amok, fire hundreds of thousands of people, set people's hair on fire as they run around screaming about it. But you're not going to accomplish all this without a recession. A recession is going to lower the stock market. It's going to catch some people flat-footed and off guard, but get it over with. I mean, if you're going to do everything he's trying to do, rip it up. Let me see that does the private sector not have enough employment space to absorb these federal workers? Sure, if they had any skills.
That's my big thing, right? Like, what are they going to do? And there might be look, I'm always a glass half full guy. There might very well be a really good answer for that I don't know. And that's
they don't. Let me just put it, employers are already having a hard time finding skilled workers. Okay. A significant percentage of the people being let go are administrative. There's no home for a lot of these people. So when you say, does the private market have jobs? Yeah. And we'll see the JOLTS report this week. So where do these people go? Can they fill these job openings? Some of the technology openings, yes, but only some. Okay, so this is going to create a bunch of permanent unemployeds, and you just can't do those three things without a recession, especially on an economy that's been teetering and thinking about trying to go into a recession for some time. Remember something. During 2024 and 2023, we would have had a recession. There's no doubt, no question. I'm not making this up. It's math. We would have had a recession if we did not have the record amount of government spending. Okay, the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Recovery Act, that we were still spending, pandemic recovery money. We had the infrastructure bill. Take all that money out, and what happens?
Recession.
Okay? Recession. So now, having said that, we also haven't seen any of the money come out yet, and I don't think a lot of it we're probably not going to. because the Republicans, senators, and congressmen in particular, you can talk a good game on the campaign trail and talk a good game nationally. But then when you go home and you realize that all that money's being spent in your district, and you've got to tell your residents, also popularly known as voters, that you're going to pull these projects that are paying their bills, that gets to be kind of a tough sell. So, but we're in really interesting times, and it's, like I said, lots of uncertainty around the market, around the economy, and what's going to happen. If you run across somebody that walks up and says, "This is exactly what's going to happen over the next year, and this is what you need to do," you punch that person in the face, right? Because they're either lying to themselves and need a wake-up call, or they're lying to you, in which case they need a punch in the mouth. So there's just so much uncertainty here.
I did not have, encouraging punching somebody in the face on my bingo card here today, but I'll tell you, Monday is in the habit of surprising me.
As I'm getting
I'm unsurprised.
As I get older, I'm going to be 64 this year, which is relatively young in the grand scheme of things. But, if you start to get more experience behind you, you realize that in the United States over the last decade or so, the number of people who need a punch in the mouth has been rising at an alarming rate. So
I'm not going to fight you on that.
So now all of this with valuations and where's the market going and what's it doing. There's a new study out, and this one came out of the New York University. What's interesting about this study, Ryan, is it's not just an investment geek out of the investment program. Somebody from the engineering school joined in on this one and did a kind of check the math thing. So what they did is they used current earnings, current conditions, and they went back over, like 16 tons of data. And they said, look, based on this data, the forward return of the stock market that we project, drum roll, 4.2%. Now, that's below bonds, Ryan, because I can lock up a 10-year bond at 4.5 this morning. You can go out and get a 10-year high grade, double B corporate at an 8 if I shop careful. So this long-term stocks, it's clear the American exceptionalism is baked into prices, baked into expectations, baked into valuations. The indexes are probably not going to do over the next 15 years what they did over the last 15 years, and certainly not over the next 10. So now this is one voice in the wilderness, except when you take all the voices of the wilderness. And the thing about the voices in the wilderness is they are in the wilderness, right? They're not mainstream. This is not the Wall Street consensus think. These are the avant-garde thinkers that have a long track record of being right. So you look at the CAPE ratio. And if you just look at the historic CAPE ratio, and which is the 10-year average from inflation-adjusted Shiller PE ratio, from this level, the average 10-year return has been about 2.2% compounded. If you get really fancy and you use the excess cash flow yield of the CAPE compared to Treasury yields, it's at 1.5%. Then the most reliable predictor of future stock market returns ever is what's known as the aggregate investor allocation to equities. How much money do we, and the we is collective, right? It's you, me, high net worth, institutions, endowments, pensions, everybody. How much of all the money do we have in stocks compared to stocks, bonds, cash, real estate, God help us, Bitcoin, or, whatever it is. And right now it's at a level we have not been at some time, and it's suggesting the big zero. For a compounded 10-year rate of return. The most aggressive, optimistic, Sally Sunshine prognosticating force out there is Vanguard. And Vanguard has to be Sally Sunshine, okay? Because their entire business is built on you pouring money into the S&P 500, right? That's their whole company. And they're saying 10 years, 2.9 to 4.9% compounded over the next 10 years. Now, what gets interesting with the Vanguard model is they go out and they look at other segments of the world, and they're saying global equities, 7.1 to 9.1. Now, I took a lot of stuff that falls out of the back end of the south end of a northbound horse on this show.
That's not one I've heard before, Tim.
on this very show, for suggesting that you needed to be paying attention to Europe, not necessarily the United States. So, and a couple of years ago, not on this show, but I took a lot of, because I said it's time to buy European banks when nobody wanted to. If you'd bought European banks 2 years ago, 2022, you've outperformed the Magnificent Seven. So far this year, European stocks are running laps around the S&P 500. So foreign stocks probably, and don't get me wrong, U.S. is still the most exceptional place on the planet. We still have the best companies. We're still leading the way in AI. There's still a lot of great stuff about this economy. Europe has its problems. They're not going away. They're going to argue, they're going to fight. The Germans are going to do ridiculously stupid things with their energy and immigration policy. However, it's too cheap. It's just they're raising dividends over there in the Europe and UK because cash flows are coming in, and the stocks are still trading below book value, single digit PE ratios. So if you've got longer term money, you need to be looking at Europe as much or more so in the United States. And that's not just me. That's Vanguard. They're pretty smart guys. Now they're saying so U.S. value is 4.3 to 6.3, small cap is 4.5 to 6.5% compounded. So if you look at the Vanguard data, and again, if you look at the historical track record, they're pretty good in the general direction and magnitude of it. Not quite as good as the aggregate investor allocation to equities, but pretty reliable. Clearly, if you're going to invest in the U.S., you need to start shifting out of that large cap tech and down into really cool stuff like small cap, deep value. High yield bonds, by the way, 5.7 to 6.7. If you do double Bs, discounted double Bs, I think you can get closer to 8 right now. You got to shop. You got to be careful. You need an accomplished tour guide. I know one.
I bet you do.
Just some thoughts on European. I want to share some ideas with you here on Europe and Japan, because those, I think, are the two best markets from a valuation, growth, and financial condition side. So let's just jump right in. I'm just going to give you a couple tickers here that I think you need to think about. Europe, you want to go high quality to start, right? We can get all the way down into the European small caps and the European banks, but we'll save it for another day. But just your high quality companies, AP Moller Maersk. Okay.
Is that MRSK?
MAERSK. Yes.
MAE. Yes. That's the ticker, right?
No, the ticker's AMKBY.
That's what I'm looking for, Tim. AMKBY.
I don't know if you're going to have that there.
Yep.
You do? Okay, very good. This is shipping, ladies and gentlemen. They're the largest shipping company in the world. If you see a container anywhere in the world, there's a pretty good chance these guys made it. So, but the stock's just sitting there. It's cranking out dividends. It's extremely cheap. It's trading below book value, low multiples of cash flow. Let me see if you've got a chart up there and what that looks like.
Is anything the dividend here? Obviously, this is an OTC ticker that you gave me here. Anything that people need to know about getting paid out dividends on OTC stocks?
Well, first off, you'll get paid, but these are European stocks, right? They pay once a year.
Okay.
Okay, this will go probably in late April, early May for payment in late May, early June. And European dividends are not like U.S. dividends, and you need to understand that, all right? They still, 1700 style, the board of directors gets together and they say, all right, this is how much money we made this year. We're going to pay out this percentage of it as a dividend. It's not a fixed dividend ongoing. It's going to be based on the profit. So European dividends can be all over the place. Maersk has been pretty steady. They're having a pretty good year. Barring a global collapse, they'll continue to have a pretty good year. Then the next one is, make sure I've got this symbol right, Ryan, because I'm not sure. It's L'Oreal. If you're married or you're female, you have a whole bunch of this stuff in your house. Not spelling this right.
There's an apostrophe in this too.
Yeah, so. There we go. LRLCY is the symbol that I'm showing. And again, these are just companies that are extremely profitable with high returns on assets and equity. In the case of L'Oreal, it's a repeat sale. It's every few months. They're the leading cosmetics company in the world now, I believe, selling all over the world. I said, I guarantee you, I have a whole bunch of this stuff in that cabinet in which I'm not brave enough to look in the bathroom. So, and then finally on this one, and this is, I absolutely love this stock. Okay. VCISI.
I don't have a ticker for that. VC Victor Charlie India Sierra India.
Yeah, let me make sure that again, I wrote this down in a big hurry last night, and so I might have it wrong. Hold on. Bear with me, Ryan. VCIS. Okay, yeah. VCISY is my ticker.
VCISY. And that we have. Okay. So Vinci. So why is this your favorite?
This is infrastructure. Big time infrastructure play. Okay. They own toll roads. They own airports. They're matter of fact, they're the largest airport company in the world. Airport management. They've got airport concessions. They own 40,400 kilometers of toll roads in France, 72 airports across 14 countries. They are the world's largest airport operator. So this is just like one of the ultimate infrastructure plays that's out there. I've always kind of shocked that private equity hasn't come in and just said, yeah, we're buying this sucker, because it's, trading at a really reasonable valuation, fantastic returns on capital, on returns on equity, return on assets, return on invested capital. I'm shocked that like Blackstone hasn't just said, well, you know what, I think we're going to go ahead and find a way to buy this, but it hasn't happened yet. And you've got 4.2% dividend. The stock, in spite of Europe being yuck, the stock's actually had a decent mid-teens total return over the last decade. So, and it's still pretty reasonably priced. But it's just a great business that nobody's talking about. You can't compare it to anything in the United States. It's like an instant diversifier because you get European quality. Plus, you get infrastructure, which is one of the best areas in the world going forward, in my not always very humble opinion. So that's Europe, and then we'll go ahead and how are we doing on time? I'm not burning up.
We're good, man. We got plenty of time.
Now, Japan. I love Japan. Japan is a very cool story right now, for the simple reason that look. Japan has become much more shareholder friendly. I want you to think back to the 1980s, right? And everybody's got lots of reasons that the 1980s worked and this happened and that happened. And the real truth is most of what happened in the 80s, Reagan and tax policy, a general better feeling about our country, I think helped a lot. But the real driver was a guy named Michael Milken and the birth of the private equity industry. The world got a lot more shareholder friendly because they found every fat, bloated corporation in America and they did a takeover financed by debt where they ripped out all of the corporate fat, leaving it lean and mean, and used cash flow to pay down debt. When it worked, people made gazillions of dollars. When it didn't work, well, which was not very often, by the way, most of the deals worked. Japan has resisted that. They've resisted activism. They've always had that interlocking shareholder relationship between companies where everybody owned everybody else, so they were all friendly, and mergers were done on a really friendly basis, or more likely than not done at all. The Japanese government has finally come to that. Hey, you know what? We got to do something here because our companies are cheap. I mean, there's just tons of stocks trading below book value in Japan right now. It's ridiculous, and it's single-digit P ratios in spite of being fantastic companies. So they are becoming more shareholder friendly, much so. We're seeing private equity deals get done. We're seeing activists win campaigns in Japan for the first time ever. Remember, Marty Whitman in the 90s sailed his ship into Japan, kind of like Perry in the days of old, into Tokyo Bay. Um, Marty got his butt kicked and hard because he was going in, and we all ended up making money on these. But Japanese property and casualty insurance companies were trading at these stupid low prices to book. And the book was all Japanese stocks carried at cost. And if you remember the early 90s, the Japanese markets were soaring. So you had stuff carried at $1 that was trading at 10. So they're really cheap. And Marty tried to force them all to merge or pay out. That's it. We all got our butts just kicked out of there, but the market restarted to reevaluate some of what was going on there. We made some, but not what we could have. That's changing. Now, we just saw Paul Singer and Elliott go into Japan and have a win. KKR just pulled off a huge deal for one of the Fuji assets. So it's changing, and that's going to mean large returns for Japanese stocks going forward, in my opinion. There's a guy that agrees with me, and I'm searching for his name. Oh, yeah, Warren Buffett. Warren's shareholder letter that came out last week, he wrote about the fact we bought these 10 Japanese companies back in 2006. We still own them. They're still cheap. We're still buying them. We bought more this year, and we think we're going to own them forever and ever. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to give you the tickers on these companies, and we'll just kind of take a look at the business. First is ITOCY. Now, these are the ones that Warren Buffett bought. This is ITOCY. I'm going to spare y'all my just terrible attempts at trying to pronounce the names of these companies.
I was going to say, I'm going to let Tim try this one because I don't know how to say this either. And I embarrass myself on a regular basis doing that. So
no, but
no, look, okay.
And then again, Warren bought Japanese trading companies. Okay. And these guys are in textiles, machinery, metals, energy, chemicals, food, real estate, IT, communications, technology. Biggest part of the business, food, energy, and chemicals. Okay. But you come back up here. I say that as I'm rolling up my foreign screen. You're at a P ratio of 11. You're trading at just 2 times book, 10 times free cash flow. You got about 2.63% dividend yield. Great big fat returns on invested capital.
Mm-hmm.
So just a very cool business, and their largest shareholder happens to be a guy named Warren.
Okay.
And then we've got MARUY, which is Marubeni Corporation. And it's just the same thing. Nice, acceptable, good growth margins, great returns on invested capital, trading at 8 times earnings. This one's actually 1.2 times tangible book, 3% dividend that's been growing over time. And just looking for the major line of business. And again, it's a trading company that's in a lot of businesses. They do trading and business investments is what they call it. So it's grains, it's energy, it's natural resources, power generation, power plants, mines, transportation systems. This is just an old style commodity based corporation like we used to have here in the United States, something of a merchant bank to the commodities markets.
Okay.
And then
so it seems Tim, I mean, it seems to me like you're looking for value, but you're just looking across the pond, whether it's Japan or Europe. You're looking for the same thing, right? Stocks
always. And Tweety Brown has done an enormous amount of studies on this, as did Charles Brandis. They're available on those two firms' websites. Value not only works outside the U.S., sometimes it works a lot better.
Okay.
We know that value still works in the U.S., but when you get conditions like we've got in Europe and Japan right now, then value is just going to deliver extraordinary returns. All right, let me give you the other 3 tickers. We're not going to walk through them because they're all about the same.
Okay.
MSBHF.
MSBHF.
Right. MITSY.
Oh, Mitsubishi.
Yeah. That's Mitsubishi, not just the car company. That's everything. Mitsubishi's in every business you can think of. MITSY and SSUMY. And then the Melvin addition to this is Nomura, NMR, the large investment bank. I love Nomura at this price.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think you can also buy the 2 biggest Japanese banks that are cheap, SMFG and MUFG. They both trade here in the States.
Okay.
So that's kind of our pitch on Europe and Japan. We can get down into the small cap down and dirty on this sometime, Ryan, but I think we might want to do that on one of our Tuesday nights
Okay.
because that's
Perfect.
I need an hour just to get wound up on this. So.
Okay. Well, this is a
Okay.
really good start. And again, the strategy here behind some of the stock picks that you're giving out here, thank you, by the way, for doing that. The strategy here really seems to be the same thing, right? We're just looking for value and we're going wherever we can find it and we're following the people that we trust to go find it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily really even follow Warren much anymore because I'm not 94 years old with 143 billions in cash. Our goals are not aligned. So, but every once in a while, Warren drops a gem, and he really in this report he dropped a gem on Japan and what he sees going on there. So, Japan and Europe, I think that for your longer term portion, don't try to day trade these Japanese trading companies, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's totally a different thing. Now, when we come back on Wednesday, I'm going to do my tease, Ryan, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did. I study everything, guys. So I am at heart a deep value guy. We also, have learned to love, momentum or relative strength together with fundamental momentum. It just delivers spectacular returns, just like deep value does. But we study everything. So lately, we ran across some studies on the best technical indicators. So I talked about this last time I was on, and we didn't get a chance to get to it Wednesday. We will get to it this Wednesday. But there's a couple studies out there that we want to go over on the best technical indicators of all time.
Okay.
And we're talking, one of the studies is well over 100 years of data.
Okay. I like big sample sizes. Let's go.
Right. So, it just what's working. And then we've got another study that covers 1996 to 2023. And then we've got the Tim Melvin study that is about 10 years. Testing. I don't test as many as the other guys do because I only wanted to go so far with it. But there's some interesting conclusions in here. And it's also going to be verifying something you already know but never use. Right.
Okay.
So
sometimes I like the tease, Tim.
Sometimes we get so busy looking for what's new that we forget to focus on what works. And this study brings me, I looked at it and I was like, we got to quit ignoring stuff like this because this just sits there and working, making money all the time. So anyway, that's my tease. I've not used as much time as I usually do on a Monday morning, but everything Ryan says the U.S. is overvalued. This says the forward 10-year returns from here are going to be very low, except for small cap, really deep value. But the real kind of easily invested larger cap stuff is in Europe and it is in Japan. Europe, and again, we'll do a special show on Europe and Japan because European and Japanese banks are ridiculously attractive. And I would compare them to the U.S. banking industry in the late 1990s.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, Tim, I got to say, first of all, thanks as always for joining us. Thanks for making time to make sure that we didn't miss some of the nuggets. And of course, thank you for giving us ideas where we can actually make money at no cost. So folks, if you want to check out more of Tim Melvin, be sure to check out the different services we have here at Benzinga and keep tuning in. Like you said, Tim will be back Wednesday morning. Can't wait for that.
All right. Thanks, Ryan, for having me on. Happy Bitcoin Monday, everybody. Get out there, make it a great one, and we'll talk again Wednesday morning.
All right. Someone needs to check Tim's pulse, make sure he's doing okay. Check his temperature, make sure he doesn't have a fever. I can't believe he just said something positive about Bitcoin. Tim, we'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good one. That is Tim Melvin. Lion here saying Tim needs to start a comedy club, a stand-up comedy club. I'll tell you something. If he does that, I'd be there. I'd be there for the opening night. All right. Now, Tim's departure. Thought that was pretty awesome. I know value's not everyone's favorite, especially you guys that really like gunslinging and going after some of those, some of the wild names. But I will say there's something to be said for loading up a portfolio with a bunch of stuff that you kind of just forget about or slow play, and then use another part of it for some of the active stuff. So really appreciate Tim digging into his barrel of really good picks there and then bringing that to us. We're going to keep doing it, and I am excited for Wednesday. Now, Tim's departure leaves room for 13, so we're going to go ahead and bring him on, see how his weekend is doing, and how he's doing here on a Monday morning. 13, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody this morning? Quite a wild morning we're having, aren't we, with Bitcoin?
We sure are. We brought Tim on. Even Tim said, "Happy Bitcoin Monday." I couldn't believe it. I pinched. I know you couldn't see it here, but I pinched myself just to make sure I wasn't dreaming. But indeed, we do have some wild stuff. So where do you want to start here today? I obviously haven't gone over any of the movers. There's not a whole lot on there. A lot of them really are Bitcoin related. Yep. So what do you want to do here, 13? How do you want to kick us off?
Well, I think the first thing we might want to take a look at is Bitcoin itself, because there are some technical levels that I'm a little bit concerned about, because we're kind of right at them right now. And for a while, we've talked about how Bitcoin is, on the daily chart, it looked like there was a bit of a double top, and as the weekend, as we closed the week last week, we were really selling off.
Yeah, I had a feeling I was going to need to refresh Pro there, and I didn't do it. So it crashed on me here because I was doing quite a bit. Let me get Bitcoin loaded up here. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. We got our 200. Let me reshare this. We got no trouble here. So here we go, 13.
So, yeah, double top there. Big reversal, big move up here. Moving on the creation of that department that's going to have a whole bunch of Bitcoin.
Strategic Bitcoin Reserve.
That's what it was. Yeah. So here we are coming back up to the breakdown level, the level that was prior support before we lost it, and now is resistance. We're back testing that now. So my concern is that do we get back above that and start trading above it? That's what I'm going to be waiting to see here. And if we start breaking through it and we get back up to 99, 100,000, we're probably going to end up making new highs in Bitcoin. If we do not, if this is as high as we go, then I think we might see a pretty nasty reversal coming this week.
Okay, so is this a fair just generalization here with the trend line that I drew from those recent highs? Okay, so basically we're looking to see if we can really kind of get above this and maybe invalidate it. Otherwise, we might actually print some new lows. I still have a target. If we do break down 13, I still have a target here of about 73.5, and I would imagine that this would be pretty firm down to 70K. Yeah. So, okay. Anything else you have here on the Bitcoin chart? Did you want another coin, or are you basically just looking at Bitcoin here? Okay.
Just wanted to point out there's a little bit of a technical situation here where it's going to be a situation where we have to see if this is going to be where we break that resistance, and if we don't, then we could just end up rolling over and going down to that line that you pointed out there. So a little bit of wait and see in me. I have I have some iBit that I picked up, so that's doing okay. So
iBit with a nice gap here today.
Yeah, they did really. It's doing pretty good. Yeah. So just playing it that way, but just want to wait and see what happens here with Bitcoin.
Okay, real quickly here, Lion's saying we need to take 95K. If you take a look at this trend line, that's pretty much right in the ballpark. I mean, this is really 95 up to 96 and change, but that 95 level does seem pretty prudent here. So we'll see if we end up getting that. Okay. You want to do movers? What would you want to do next?
One of the first things the big one that's running this morning is BTOG. And of course, this is moving on the crypto news, but we can talk about that one, or we can go to the one that actually seems like it's not necessarily related to Bitcoin, and it's moving, because all the other ones I was looking at, they all seem to have some kind of Bitcoin theme to it.
Okay, well, let's start here with BTOG, because this is filtered out from my scanner, because this is actually a penny stock, like actually a penny stock, like actually 96 cents. I'll just say right from the onset here, I'm going to completely avoid trading this one here today. But and this is actually not one that I've traded here before, but this, like you were mentioning, this is the biggest gainer here of the day, plus 430%. Stock was around 18 cents. Last week, and we popped above $2 here on the pump this morning. We've come all the way back down to the VWAP. 13, this gives me nausea, but you tell me what you see here on this one.
Well, I mean, we have very low RSI coming off of that. The Bitcoin news absolutely helping it lift off that. I don't think the short interest was anything to worry about. No, it wasn't. So really, this is all just the movement on crypto, on with the prominent news that it had. Now, this is also a company that's at risk of delisting. So there's a lot of other things going on with this as well. But very, very bullish news for an otherwise very, very beaten up stock. So this reversal that we're seeing here is just the result of all that.
Okay. So here, Jay Harris, you were asking what stock should we watch for sympathy plays? I'm assuming you're talking sympathy to the Bitcoin move. Let me just make sure I'm understanding you correct. But pretty much all of these smaller ones that we're going to talk about here, all of these are in play. We mentioned earlier, 13 already mentioned IBIT. I'd throw Coinbase on there too. Yeah. We already took a look here at MicroStrategy and how that somehow seems to have traded up, or this entire thing seems to have coordinated with MicroStrategy trading down to its 200-day. Mm-hmm. So that looks like it just bounced off of its 200-day, which is just amazing the way these charts shape up. But okay, I'm going to run through the rest of these movers here. Jay Harris, there's definitely going to be some other sympathy to Bitcoin plays on this list. You ready, 13?
Let's go.
All right, we're going to start here with the first one, which is going to be Acon. This is XIII. Now, XIII shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed a commercial deal with Scripps Health to expand Norcasan for spine care. So I guess maybe I should have started with a Bitcoin name there, or maybe altered the lead here a little bit. Sorry about that. That's almost like a train wreck. When you have a DJ trying to mix things. Anyway, Acon here is a little bit different. This did pop on Friday. Actually gave a pretty decent move. Now it's resolving higher here. Stock's up almost 97% here in the pre-market. From our last reading that we had here on short interest, 24.33% of its float shorted with only 1 day to cover. So a little bit elevated there in terms of the short interest, but really nothing to worry about on the days to cover. On average, stock trades 500,000 shares. Today we've traded over 19 million. So clearly the eyeballs are here, float 1 million on this stock. What do you got here? ACON 13.
Yeah, so this not one of the Bitcoin movers, because this has a commercial deal with Scripps Health. That's why it's moving.
Yep.
But in addition to that, the short interest that you pointed out also helping it, because they did a 1 for 370 reverse split on January 24th. So that's the result of the 1 million share float that you have now.
Got it.
In addition to that, you also had really low RSI prior to today. And you also had some relative volume on Friday that is, we're starting to spill over in today. So a lot of different things that are really helping with the reversal here. The relative volume, low RSI, the very low float with the high short interest. And now you have this catalyst on the deal. So yeah, this thing's going to move. Now, as far as where this ends up going here, I'm a little bit concerned about the way this pattern is looking. You could argue we, double topped, or this might be some kind of head and shoulders pattern that we're seeing here that's slightly skewed. Regardless of how you view this, I think this does look a little bearish, and we are going to need to see. We may even see one more attempt before the market opens of it trying to break that 762 high. But I'll be honest with you on this one. It looks like it's starting to look a little weak, but it still could push up out of the close to the open or out of the open and take out that high. It's still curling up to potentially do that as well. So not exactly sure what we're going to get out of this one. We might get a bullish pop before we open. We might not, but we really need to hold above VWAP, which we currently are doing, and take out that 762 high that we've hit twice this morning.
Okay, yeah, I mean, to me, this little move above VWAP on volume bodes well as long as we can hold above this. We get any type of expanding volume, this little formation here on the 5-minute chart, this could really kind of get broken. I think if it does, we probably do test that pre-market high there. So, okay, good stuff there. Ticker ACON, not related to Bitcoin. I feel like I'm only going to say that a couple of times here today, so I might as well do that. Next, actually looking ahead here, next we've got BTC Digital. This is going to move with Bitcoin. And then we've got MSTX. Now, these levered ETFs that reflect some of these other Bitcoin stocks, I'm just going to skip over these. We'll talk about the underlying asset. You can make your judgment on how you're going to trade this or how you're going to allocate your risk. That's not for me to decide for you. That's for you to decide. So I'll skip over some of those here. We'll start here with BTCT. That's Bravo Tango Charlie Tango. BTC Digital stock was about $4 last week. We popped over 6 here today. Actually, looks like we're getting ready to recross the VWAP there at 555. Short interest on this one, fairly negligible. We got just shy of 10% of the float shorted, but days to cover at 1.09 there. And this does trade on average over 2 million shares. Today we're at 5 million. So not terrible here on a BTCT float here, 5.2 million. This is just moving with the strategic crypto reserve. Did you have anything else on this one specifically that you wanted to cover, like a level or something, or should I just keep moving on?
Well, we're trading beneath VWAP right now, so and we're trying to move. The price is trying to move back up over it. So if it cannot recapture 550 before the market opens, we may see this move down first.
Okay.
A little bit of a bearish pattern, going into the when we opened in pre-market, looked a little like kind of head and shoulders-ish, but skewed slightly. Haven't been able to get back above or get back up to 619, the high that we put in. So unless we break VWAP here before the pre-market, I think that we may see a rejection at VWAP and come back in before this thing sets up to go higher. So gonna be patient with this one. I think we should be patient with a lot of these Bitcoin.
I agree with you. So okay, really good breakdown there. And I completely agree with you. I think patience is going to be really key here today. One of the ways I kind of set this up earlier when I first started here, number one, with the broader market trading up, green arrows across the board, SPY, Dow, and NASDAQ, and actually it looks like they're trying to go greener as we speak, as S&P futures trading up now, up 0.5%. The question is going to be, do we actually have this rally get sold like we've started to see? It used to be buy the dip. That really kind of morphed over the last couple of weeks to rallies getting sold. And despite the good feeling here, the good news with crypto, we've got crypto up here in the morning, got all these green arrows. Can we hold this is really going to be the $64,000 question here today. So I think being patient, especially out of the open, is in fact the right move, 13. I'm with you on that. Okay, let me keep going here. Gorilla Tech, which is GRR, ticker GRRR. I know this has been a show favorite. Well, I guess we could call it an ex-girlfriend at this point. Gorilla Technology Group shares are trading higher after the company secured a $1.8 billion agreement to lead Thailand's smart grid and AI-powered energy transformation. I'll tell you what, that headline reads pretty good, 13. Reads pretty good. Stock here up 25%. All right, let me take a quick look around the horn, then I'll have you break it down like a fraction. 7.96% of the float shorted with just 1 day to cover. That seems to be a common theme that we're seeing right here. Float 18 million, so a little bit higher than the ones that we target, but nothing terrible here. Certainly not going to trade thick. I still consider that kind of low. What do you think here, 13, on GRRR, or as we affectionately call it, GRR?
This actually has some pretty good news that might see it continue to move up. But when I look at the 5-minute chart, we are currently trading above VWAP. We'd want to see this hold above VWAP and into the open. It does have a pretty good setup here. We could look at this as a bit of a bull pennant. And if we hold that VWAP, I think we could end up testing that 41.19 high that we put in the pre-market. So this looking not too bad. I do have some concerns about it though. Like the MACD is indicating that it could roll over, but that's why I'm watching the VWAP to see if we continue to hold that. The float, almost 18.5 million shares. They don't seem like they are in need of raising cash. It seems like they are profitable, so I don't think this is necessarily at risk of needing to raise capital. I say that with an asterisk because they, even the most robust companies still do that. But this looks like a good setup here to me. Going to be, I think that's just thing that I just want to wait for and watch is just if it holds VWAP. I don't have a whole lot of other info on GRR. I know it's something we traded. I don't seem to have levels here with this one. But
the reason you don't 13 is because look at the move that this thing, when we were first trading this, I want to say that this was back down here in single digits and right around 10. And now we're almost pushing 40 here. So I really actually think that this stock has repriced higher several times since we've been trading it, which is probably why you don't have any of those levels left over. But here we go. This is ripping here, plus 26%. Yeah.
Maybe if it does continue to rip into the open and goes higher, there's like a possibility that 54.50 could be a level. But I'll provide some, once we open here, and I've sure. Maybe even 54. 54 looks pretty good. So
and also this thing has very, very clearly used the VWAP here as support despite the decline in volume. So I think as long as that holds here into the open, we should be pretty good. Shout out though, do you think we kind of want to wait out that first print? Okay, next one here that I'm going to Crimp Biscuits asking if this has a dividend. I don't think so. No, I don't have any data on that. I was going to say I didn't think so. All right. One thing here, Jay Harris, you were asking earlier about sympathy stocks, and as we were talking about some of these Bitcoin names, I just thought to myself, if Bitcoin remains strong here today, remember, Bitcoin often looked as the ultimate risk asset, and if Bitcoin remains strong here today, you could very well have a risk on, kind of a broader risk on feeling for market participants, whether that be short or intermediate term traders there. And what that means is that you actually might see some sympathy moves in some of those other Momo names, like the drone names or the space names, or maybe even the quantum names. Now, I don't want to, promise that those are going to go up here today, but you were asking about sympathy names. And if we see a massive risk on feeling here from the appreciation of Bitcoin, I don't think it's crazy to really look for some of those other recent momentum sectors that we had identified. So that's as just kind of an aside. Now, I did hear speak, Ryan, English. I did want to get to Hollow here. Hollow, YOLO, JOLO. We have to because we always do. But this is a stock that really has just kind of become, I almost want to say this is a Benzinga PreMarket Playbook cult classic. We talk about this one all of the time here. We do have some news. Wiz here thinks this might be one of the biggest traders here of the day. So we might as well get prepared for this one here. Again, HOLO, Micro Cloud Hologram. Shares are trading higher after the company announced a $200 million investment in crypto derivatives and plans for $300 million for blockchain and AI development. Wowzors. This thing just throwing in all of the PRs or all of the buzzwords that it can. AI, development, $300 million, blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto. I mean, this thing is just loaded up with those hot terms here today. Unsurprised to see this thing move from 99 cents to $1.35. We've retraced 50% of the impulse move. We see this all the time with this stock. Now we're right here at the VWAP. Really, the question for me is what's the next direction here? I'm definitely going to wait Hollow out. This is one of those stocks where if I take losses on it, I'm really pissed at myself. Nothing is quite like Mullen, but this one's getting up there. So I just want to make sure that I have a pretty good feel for this one, not playing this out of the open. Now, really quickly here, as we continue to go around the horn, most recent short interest print for this, 38.89% of the float shorted, but that days to cover still chilling there at 1. On average, the stock trades 30.5 million. So far here in the pre-market, we're at 20 million. So this thing's really going to need to keep its trading up or to keep its volume up. Otherwise, we might have a big pullback on this one. 13, this one is connected to you forevermore, thanks to Lynn and Randy, who we absolutely love here. What do you think here on Hollow?
Well, I think every time this moves, all I have to do is look at the headline and assume that they're just going to print something that has to do with what's popular right now. We saw that with, remember Quantum, and the Quantum Hole Spin or whatever that, PR was. That is, as soon as there's a whole theme that's on the move, it seems like they have a PR to match it. So I entirely to take this with a grain of salt because who knows if this is they're actually going to deliver on that 200 million investment in crypto derivatives and blockchain and AI development. I thought they were working on quantum. So I don't take this seriously. I think this is just going to be a trading vehicle. Even if it is tied to me, but the short interest, it should help it push, just push it up higher. But I don't know exactly how high. I mean, it's a junk stock, folks. This is something that you're just going to trade, and then you're going to say thank you, and then move on to something else. Be very careful with this one. This thing has been wild.
And currently, right now, we seem to be struggling to get above that VWAP. The impulse pop that really kind of popped us above that level, we've basically repriced and kind of oscillated around VWAP. So I would use that here as your trigger. Maybe if you get some volume expansion and a push away from that VWAP, that could be good for an upside trade here. But as 13 just said, I think my overarching piece of advice on this name, be careful. We have plenty of data to suggest that this thing can be wild and really not do what we think it's going to do. Just keep it in mind. We're talking about kind of a crummy penny stock here, folks.
Yeah, it's got an interesting setup on its 5-minute chart. It's still trying to get back above VWAP, and if it does get it back above VWAP and hold above there for maybe 15 minutes, it could try and take out the pre-market highs. But it's just because of the nature of how low the float is and how squeezy this could be. It could go maybe $5. I'm just guessing here, to be honest. But this thing is just something you're going to have to be very careful with, because it's going to move around quite quickly. And if the whole Bitcoin theme that everything is moving on today unravels and it gets sold into, then this is going to come right down as well, and pretty fast.
Okay, good stuff there. All right. Hello, friends. Hello, Chris. Hopefully you are well. All right. We talked Acon, BTCT, MicroStrategy, Hollow, CTM. This is one from last week, right? Yeah, we did. We talked about this one on Friday morning. This popped. This actually gave a trade where we're kind of bottomed and recaptured the VWAP, although I didn't trade it. Two penny stock like here for me. Looks like we're trading up here again, getting set to gap up here. Did we have any news on this one? Yeah. No, the news is still from that contract on Friday. Yeah. So it looks like relative volume kind of pushing this one here today. We'll see where this one goes. Quick reminder here, short interest, about 4% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and a float here about 50 million, just shy of 50 million. So do you have anything on this one? This was going to be another kind of a hard pass for me. Just too close to the penny stock.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting here about this one is on the daily chart, it's trying to break over resistance. I'm not exactly sure what that resistance level is. We could call it maybe 130, which is above right now, or or we could call it 135, which was the high from February 7th. It just seems like ever since we lost that level back in January, it's been trying to get back above 135, and it has not been able to. After this would be the third attempt now. So if we get rejected here at 35 again, then I think this probably ends up going lower. Otherwise, we could see a breakout over 35, and that we could possibly set this up to run. Now, I don't want to make any predictions about what's happening. It looks like this could easily get rejected as much as it could easily break out, but I think that's the thing to watch for with this one, is what happens around this 130 to 135 level. Okay.
Real good stuff there. CTM, we'll see if we get a trade on that one. All right, next we have ConL. This is another one of those ETFs that is levered for Coinbase. So I'll skip over this because this is just tied to the Coinbase move. TRNR, I saw a number of folks talking about this one here today. We did actually have a pretty decent, this actually gave a better setup than CTM on Friday. Actually gave a pretty decent trade into that lunch hour there. Now, it looks like we're holding higher and trying to gap here. 350 definitely seems to be a spot here, TRNR. Let me see. We didn't have any news, right? Yeah, this was all from last week. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 6.07% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. And then your float here, 1.5 million, right in the butter zone. So 13, do you have any type of trading plan existing here for TRNR?
No. It's just going to be what the technicals tell me. Right now, they're telling me that we need to get back to VWAP.
This one, okay, so I agree with you there. This one is actually pretty simple in terms of the setup and what to look for. I don't know what it's going to do here today, but the setup and what to look for, pretty simple. I'm risk on with TRNR as long as we can hold above 3. Okay, if we can do that, we're probably pretty good. This is actually going to coincide with very close to the intraday high from Friday, as well as the after hours high from Friday. We've used it as support twice today. Let's be honest with ourselves. $3, definitely a level. If we break beneath that, we probably want to wait for this to confirm another level so that it doesn't just pull back or reverse its momentum to the downside. Upside level here, 350. I know we printed above it here. Your pre-market high is going to be 372. Maybe we do challenge that here. But really all of this, or to determine whether or not we have a decent upside trade here, can we cross that VWAP that 13 just talked about? If we do, I think we probably test 350 here shortly after that. You got anything else here, TRNR?
Nope. I like that $3 level.
Okay, sick. BITU, again, another Bitcoin related one. MSTR, CAN, CLSK, Mara, Riot, IBIT, Iron. Wow, all Bitcoin there on the name. And then Nix, did someone mention this one earlier? I know the chat was moving here pretty quick because you folks are just outdoing yourselves once again on a Monday. Nobody here has a case of the Mondays. NIXX Nixie here. This is spiking on volume. I didn't have any news on this from earlier. Yep. Most recent news came from Thursday here last week. Quick peek at the short interest, rather. Just about 0.5% of the float shorted there. 1 day to cover, negligible. Nothing there. Float here, 13.67 million. I don't think I've ever traded NIXX before, at least not that I can remember. The $2 level certainly seems to be an upside level. Worth noting, I should say, this 175 to right where we're at here, maybe 190 seems to be a consolidation area from Thursday. We were really unable, if you take a look at the trading action on Friday, except for the pre-market, we were basically unable to get back into that range and then maybe discover the next area here. So first thing that I want to see here in NIXX, forget the pre-market information. What happens to this stock when we open up? Are we actually able to get above this consolidation area? If so, then maybe we can start looking at targets 220, 240, and beyond. Do you have anything here in NIXX 13?
The news from Thursday indicated that this company would begin generating revenue from their Mexa Media contract in March of 2025. What month are we in now?
March of 2025.
Oh, well, holy shit. That's why we're... now, here's the thing to be careful with. They did announce a 10 million share repurchase program. That could also be pushing this up. So, it might just be like an attention grabber. But, there's some things to be careful with. There's some things that with this that are already moving because of the news that we had. So because of how old the news is, I feel like there may be some better things to trade. And this might just be movement off of their repurchase program. So be careful with this one as well. I don't necessarily think this is, let me just take a look here real quick at something. Yeah, this one's still losing his money as well. So just be careful with this one. I don't have the greatest confidence in this one, but I could be completely wrong about that.
Okay, we'll see. Let it open. Let it open. I mean, to me, the area that we're at with this stock, let it tell you what it's going to do, right? Let's see what happens. If it can actually get above this consolidation area in the regular session here, maybe we're onto something. Otherwise, there's plenty of Bitcoin names that are going to be trying to make a name for themselves here today. So we should have no shortage of targets on what's going on. Okay, I'm going to flip over to my main workspace here. We can do ticker time now. That was about all we had here for the movers. Let me just take a quick look around some of the, by the way, VIX here, this did make VIX made a high on Friday of 22.4. That was during the meeting in the Oval Office. As soon as the conclusion of that, VIX got smoked. We melted. We are slowly melting here again in the pre-market. So VIX going to be one of those things to watch. If that pops and it maybe kind of changes the temperature here of the market, again, we're still holding green arrows across the board. So we'll see if that holds up here in the regular session. All right. You have any tickers you want to look at? Chat? What's going on with you folks? You have any tickers you folks want to take a look at that we haven't talked about already? Let me know. 13, I could start with you if you've got any. Let me go ahead and you know what? Didn't we have news here on TGTX? Yes, they had earnings here this morning. Aha, beat on the top and the bottom line. EPS 15 cents is in line. Sales of 100 million. Let's see what they guided here on their drug Briumvi. TG Therapeutics expect full year 2025 revenue of approximately 540 million versus a consensus of 548 million, including the Briumvi US net product revenue of approximately 525 million. Okay, so that's a little bit lighter there. Stock is holding 0.2 higher. That's basically not even a miss. And I think if my napkin math is right, that's about 200 million in profits based on what they're guiding from. So that's not terrible either. But that's what's going on here, TGTX. So this is one that this actually made some really good trades for me last year in 2024. Kind of still wish I had a little piece of that. $30 here in the pre-market. TGTX 31 was your pre-market high. I guess we'll see if we can get above that. Any stocks you folks want to take a look at? Let's see.
There's
yeah.
Remember the float on this one is almost 141 million, and this also has some short interest. So you're probably seeing actually very much seeing that as well. A little bit short squeeze on the earnings, but they also guided higher as well. So this could see some good movement, but I think you want to be very cautious about the float. The float's a little bit large.
Okay, good stuff there. Envy Us has been talking about SES. This is a pet. Why are you guys bringing me penny stocks? Let's look at real stocks here. What's going on with SES? Why is this a stock to look at here today?
Because it has AI.
Help me out. Help me out. Stock's up 1.4%. It's a 67-cent stock. It's got no news. What's going on? Why are we? I'm going to come back to it. I don't want to spend too much time, especially before the market opens. During the session, that's one thing. But guys, these penny stocks that have got nothing going on, like why are we spending time on this one? I don't get it. APP, let's take a look. AppLovin, this was, let me tell you something. The short reports continue to be one of the best possible catalysts for our show. These stocks that do short reports that end up bouncing create insane profits and sometimes extremely quickly. AppLovin here, again, had a relatively mundane day on Friday. I know it was showing like it was going to sell off a little bit. It didn't. It traded sideways, but here we go. Higher in the after hours, higher again here in the pre-market. The $350 level that we had identified looks like it is on deck for a test here today. AppLovin, ticker APP, short report. This thing is winning. You got anything else on AppLovin?
Let's take a look. See what I got here on the technicals, because I don't think anything else kind of really matters right now. We aside from that short report, it seems like last year was the reverse split NASDAQ compliance theme. This year, and then we got some of these short reports coming out that kind of created this theme that we're looking at now, where maybe we every time we get a short report, that's an opportunity if the stock gets hammered on the report. So definitely something to look for here. RSI was pretty low on this. We lost the 50-day SMA on Wednesday. So if we are going to turn around here, I think that's going to be the big level to recapture. And that currently is at 363.57.
Okay. Good stuff there on app. Let's see what else that we got here. What else did you folks have? PayPal. Cal, you want to take a look at PayPal. Stella wants to take a look at BBAI. And one more there. Lost the name. Trying to credit your name. Don't see your comment anymore. Oh, God, this is so annoying. So annoying that I cannot effing remember all of these different names. There was someone that was asking about NVIDIA. I don't see it anymore.
CA Fortson?
No, I would have remembered Chris's name. Anyway, sorry I can't remember your name. The chat went by too fast here. Let's take a look here. BBAI, we'll start with that one. This has been a recent trader for us. We are currently on the backside of the move, although it is doing its best to try and hold on to that 50-day. Looks like we bounced from this 50-day. Yep. But this, I don't think we have anything going on here. Do have earnings in 3 days, so be careful with that.
So with BBAI,
make it back to 6.
With BBAI on Friday, we opened and hit this previous level that we have marked off here, 480. That provided support that took us back up and never looked back after that. Went all the way up to almost 590 in the after hours before we traded a little bit lower, went sideways. So here we are. in between that range there of 480 and 590. I think depending on which direction we break out or break down of, that's going to tell us how if we're, where we're going to go. If we break beneath 480, I think 355 is possible. If we break out of 590, then we could end up running to 680. So that would be what I'm looking at here as far as the levels, to the upside and downside. It's just going to be whichever way we break out of that range.
Okay. Good stuff. I found it. Jason, I found it. I'm sorry I couldn't find it in the open, but I found the comment eventually. I got your name right. Jason, did I miss your take on NVIDIA this morning? No, you didn't, because I didn't give any takes on NVIDIA here this morning. We have talked about NVIDIA ad nauseum recently, and to be quite honest with you, I don't really think the situation here has changed in terms of the take. It does seem like NVIDIA is really sideways to down since the end of last year. I guess since October, if you want to consider sideways here. We have a nice little descending parallel channel in here that gives us some pretty good price levels to take a look at. It does look like we bounced off the trend line that 13 had me add that goes through the yen carry trade low on NVIDIA. It looks like we're kind of bouncing off of that trend line. We did reclaim the middle of this parallel channel. To me, it seems like that's going to be what's on deck here today. Down about 1% here. I think this probably just follows the rest of the tech market. It sure seems to me like we're getting some rotation out of some of these big tech leaders into other names. And so as long as that's the case with pretty much everyone, their brother, their mother, and their cousin owning NVIDIA, you might see a little bit more of that. 5 seconds, you said?
Yep.
Okay,
and
perfect.
we're open.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm looking at ACON and TRNR might be interesting too. Hollow that moved above VWAP before the open. Now it's back beneath it. I'm just gonna wait and see what we end up getting here. Okay, so ACON, that one did end up going and broke the pre-market high that I was outlining. Now it's pulling a little bit. So
okay,
want to see this at the very least hold VWAP. Otherwise, I think we're going to end up probably going down to maybe in the mid sixes, before we find some support. All right, so that's ACON, BTCT. That's trying to pop here, running into the resistances from the was this the after hours? No, this is the pre-market trading. At about 560, that seems to be a bit of a resistance area. We get through that, we might be able to push up through the pre-market high. Okay. GRR, that one's moving up as well, but a lot, I'm seeing all these that are moving up out of the gate and they just get sold into. So that's why I'm kind of being careful here.
So far, at least in some of the smaller names, we're seeing rallies getting sold early on.
Yeah.
Apple selling right from its open. NVIDIA dipped a little from its open. NBIS dipped a little bit from its open. Palo Alto was higher in the pre-market and dipped. Amazon is dipping. I didn't see Izzy yet this morning, but Amazon flashing a move down here, actually bouncing already. This basically sold down to where it consolidated in the after hours and so far has tried to bounce. Watch Amazon here. That point of balance about 214. NVIDIA, which we just asked about, lost the 123 level here as Qs pulled back a little, although Qs are already starting to trade higher here. So NVIDIA, at least currently, this is too close. I don't necessarily want to. Let me wait this out. Let me see if NVIDIA firms out here. NASDAQ is trying to bounce. NVIDIA, not yet.
Tesla, after getting a support from its 200-day SMA on Friday, now gapping up and trying to hold over 300.
That 305 area to break would be something here. TSLA.
I've got 309 as a very important level, and there's from November 15th. That is the low was 324.68. So I'm sorry, hold on a second. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. It was 309.22. Sorry, that was the high I mentioned. The low is 309.22. That's why I have 309 marked off. I think that area, that handle, is going to be one to watch for if the price does get up there today. Now we're starting to sell off.
Okay. Yeah, and interesting here. So good morning, Izzy. Pretty good timing there, right? AMZN. So Amazon so far here bouncing off of that, actually looking to did just recross the VWAP, recapture the VWAP. We'll see if we can get going. All right, NVIDIA now bouncing here. NASDAQ's trying to go higher. And that segues perfectly into the poll results. So first of all, thank you folks for voting in our poll. We love it as always. The question was S&P 500. Are you bullish, bearish, or neutral? Here are your results. 51% of the respondents said that they were bullish. 26% of the respondents said that they were neutral, and 21% of the respondents said that they are bearish. So if you want to trade off of sentiment, there are your stats, folks. Here we go. 13. I'm actually going to step away here for 1 sec.
All right.
I've had a lot of coffee this morning. I'll be right back.
I've been there myself. So right now, ACON is halted to the downside after popping over that pre-market high that we mentioned, getting up to 813 and came right back into VWAP and lower. So we might see some more downside movement out of that halt. BTCT also to the downside. GRRR that had a pop over VWAP out of the gate, right back down again. TRNR looking like this one may get going if it can recapture VWAP, which it currently is trying to do right now. So this one might get some movement here. Pre-market high on that one is 369. I feel like this is going to need to recapture 345 if we're going to see that pre-market high and more. BBAI rebounded off of 531 after selling off at the open here, trying to turn around. Still, it's slightly above my VWAP, but it has a bunch of other EMAs in the way to get over, as well as this consolidation from pre-market. So between 555 and 565, we have that consolidation that BBAI needs to get through. Once it does, we might be able to see this push up beyond the 575 high that we put in the pre-market here. After hours, we've got as high as 588.
Okay. And actually, I got sidetracked there. Let me go ahead and make sure I give Matt his link to join here. Give me 1 sec, 13.
No problem. Getting asked about SPY. The thing I'm watching for with SPY is whether or not we can get over the 50-day SMA. That is currently at 597.78. Tried to push up there this morning, but now we're starting to pull back a bit. I think that's going to be the level to watch for here with, if we're going to end up going higher or not in the broader market. Need to recapture that SPY. I'm sorry, I need to recapture that 50-day SMA. All right, so now let's take a look at some of these other movers that we're seeing here. Looks like Tesla trying to push up some more. Got back over 300. Next, again, once again, with the resistance level in Tesla, looking at 309. Should we get up there?
Now, just looking at Amazon's performance here, Amazon also tried to bounce, but really couldn't get back to where it was at or go higher. So that bounce is quickly evaporated. NVIDIA continuing to pull here against the rest of the market. I guess NASDAQ now pulling. NASDAQ volatile here. NVIDIA continuing to pull, losing that 122 level, 121 and change. Now some prints there. Tesla, again, unable so far to get above some of those pre-market highs. I'd watch that 304 level.
Yeah, TSLL looks like this could go beyond 1445, and that's, of course, it's going to be dependent upon Tesla's movement. But so far, this is looking pretty good. Let me see what Bitcoin's doing.
Bitcoin here selling from its high. Yeah. So it's 94K highs. Bitcoin on the move down. I wonder what that means for some of the other Bitcoin names. Let's take a look. Let's start with Coinbase and then probably MicroStrategy. Coinbase coming in. Okay, so that Bitcoin, where's Jamie Dimon at? The Bitcoin naysayers, you folks, I'm surprised they're not out in force right now as Bitcoin continues to pull back. MicroStrategy down to its consolidation area from the pre-market here. See if it gives that up. GER, that had an initial move down, retracing some more of that impulse move below the VWAP too. I'd really want to see that get back above the VWAP.
Palantir with a nice open this morning, getting up to 90.48. Not sure what we're doing up here. Might be trying to reverse, but let's see what happens. We still have 2 minutes left in this candle.
Palantir coming back. Izzy pounding the table on Disney. Izzy, I can't remember at all what your catalyst for a long side trade was on Disney last week.
Well, it's broken out of the
Yeah,
trend
so it was
line.
just a chart play here then?
Well, I think it was other things too. I mean, I would consider the news about Kathleen Kennedy looking to retire as bullish, but
Yeah, me too.
well, I don't know how much of a material impact that's having on the price, but I think it's still bullish when we look at it or not.
Here's your daily formation here on Disney. Really want to get above that trend line for some more move higher.
Well, one of the other things to watch for with this one, let's see, this is 118.63. What is this one? Dang it. Okay. So the 118.60 level is going to be an important one to watch for in Disney, because on December 2nd, you had a high of 118.63. And then on February 5th, you had a high of 118.59. So 4-cent difference in those highs. And now we're moving back up to that level again. That level's been resistance, but I feel this next move up here could be the one that may result in a breakthrough. So
Okay.
I would mark off 118.60 and just pay attention to what happens once we get up there. That is I think that is a very important resistance level, especially when you put it on your chart and then look to the left. I think that's a really, really important level that we need to be watching.
You know what? I'll go ahead and add it right on here. At 118.60, you said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you can just look at a larger time frame, or daily, weekly, however you want.
Oh yeah.
See how
Thursday.
that. Yeah, you go even look further to the left and prepare to have your mind blown.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, real good stuff there on that 118.60. I'm with you on that. Izzy, you had answered here. It was strong on down days. Okay, so relative strength was your catalyst here for Disney.
Well, yeah, when we had this recent, rotation out of growth, this isn't a growth stock. This is a value stock. So this was, one of the other stocks that when, growth was selling off, there was this rotation into value. This is one of them. There's a lot of other things to like about what's happening here, especially with the support at 108. I think when you were giving us this last week, were you also looking at that 108 level as a move off support? Because I think that's a really big technical move that we got out of this.
BTAI has resumed. XIII Therapeutics, this stock absolutely ripping up 95%. Actually, looks like it's running the risk of halting again up here. I didn't see exactly where this opened, so I can't estimate the halt price here for you. It looks like BTAI pushing. Grats to anyone that hit this one. Was not in this here today. That's a nice move, though.
Yeah. And yeah, Izzy 108, perfect. Yeah, so he was giving us a real good technical level in Disney. All right, what do we got now? All those Bitcoin names not looking the greatest. Looks like some are trying to turn around, but for the most part,
Bitcoin moved down here to 92K. Here's your TRNR, by the way, doing its damnedest to hold on to 3. I would say if you could hold this level, this might be worth watching, maybe even on a move back to VWAP. But if you're going to trade TRNR here, I'd be ready to take gains. I think your entry is going to dictate whether or not you make money in this now. NASDAQ continuing to pull here. Dow resuming and holding higher. SPY dipped a little bit, but still holding on to green arrows. Tech, the weakest. We talked earlier about maybe some rotation out of big cap tech. Seems like that's at least on deck here so far this morning. Apple, however, holding green by about 0.5%. Apple does seem to be the safety trade in that name, or in that theme, I beg your pardon.
So HODL coming down to its 65 EMA. Be curious to see if it ends up getting support there. That's going to be at 109. TRNR, if this has to be the move where it breaks above VWAP, or I think your point is well taken about this being done. Well, that's a very nice move for VWAP.
And there it goes, right over the intraday high. Looks like some of our it's amazing how fast it does that. Amazing how fast it does that. You really have to be ready. That may tell you what, moves like that do make it a little bit harder to execute. How many times have I actually thrown an order out there when something like that is happening, only to have that order not get filled? And in our trying to be more tactical here, we're just not going to chase moves like that.
And we have 2 minutes left in this 5-minute candle that I'm watching with the TRNR, and we're currently above VWAP, or at least my VWAP. Oh, now we're starting to lose it. This candle needs to hold above VWAP, and if it does, then I think we could end up seeing this push a little bit higher into the threes, like over maybe 350 or higher.
Okay.
But we still got to get over 369. That's the pre-market high.
Matthew, ONDS is killing me. Matthew, if it's killing you, dude, sell it. You should not own this just because I talked about it. I warned everyone here how volatile this was. I warned everyone that you needed a long-term approach here. If it's down every day and it's killing you, sell it and move on, dude. Just sell it and move on. I can't make it turn around. Long-term spec play, there is a possibility it goes to zero. Fit it into your own risk profile.
I've got an interesting video to share with you later. I'll link it, but I think the drone theme is it could come back later on this year, and I'll send you a video and you can make your own determination about that. But I don't think drones are necessarily done.
Definitely not. And if I have to wait another year or two, I'm set up to do that.
Okay.
Just straight up saying I'm set up to do that. That's okay. And I'm still bullish the drone theme long term, and especially right now with a market that really can't figure out what some of these macro things are, what's going on, all this volatility stuff that's speculative like that. It's going to get hit. That's just part of it. That's part of it. So Izzy, shout out to you. I know that you were trading that back and forth. That is not my plan on this stock. My plan is a long-term hold. I got years to be able to hold that. You don't lose anything until you sell.
Yeah, and the quantum theme could still very much be alive as well. NVIDIA has their quantum day on March 20th. That could be a catalyst for a lot of those quantum name stocks, especially now that some of those quantum names that we were looking at them being pretty overvalued, they're starting to print better revenues. So definitely something that we're going to want to keep on our radar and not consider down and out.
Definitely. TRNR trying to push through those highs there. Watch that 350 area if we can get above it.
I see a huge wall of sellers at 345. So right beneath what you're talking about there. We get through that 345 sellers wall, then we might be able to push up through the 350s. We could even back test VWAP here before we do that. So there's a couple of things that might happen here with TRNR. We just do not want to see a big old knife through VWAP and down to the 65 EMA. That would be less ideal.
BITF, one of the Bitcoin names, continuing to move lower here. Bitcoin did give up that 92K handle. Looks like it's trying to hold on to 91. We'll see if it's strong enough to do that. GER, which we did talk about earlier, trying to hold here. This thing has done nothing but pull back. Really hasn't shown the propensity to bounce yet. TGTX moved higher. Awesome.
Yeah, BBAI trying to turn around as well, but that has not recaptured VWAP yet. Okay, so TRNR.
This has me concerned. This really needs
to. It looks like it could go lower. So I'd be careful down with it, but it needs to recapture VWAP if you're going to, want to try to trade this at the upside. I think that's one of the first steps we need to see. TRNR, on the other hand, now testing its VWAP, can't lose it here, or I think it's going to, do the whole, selling down to the 65 EMA and maybe even lower bit that I mentioned. Still seeing that huge wall at 345 for TRNR. Going to need to see some large amount of volume come in here to take out that and the pre-market high of 369.
BTAI still flirting with that $5 level. This was really the big move here today. Not in that one. ACON, this trying to hold that 65 EMA on the 5. We'll see if we can get a VWAP recapture there, 30 cents above.
Yeah, that does look like it's trying to reverse. Just I need a little bit more confirmation on that one. VWAP, interestingly, at 7. All right, so it looks like TRNR is going to try to take another stab at 345.
I think that 350 level is really the key level here so far.
And there it goes, doing the thing that you did not want to see it do.
Nope.
Right through all the things that I just mentioned there, down to the 65 EMA, right into the consolidation of the pre-market. Now we lose that, this thing's probably headed to 275.
Apple pulling back off those highs, although still holding green territory here. Intel, this did pop in the pre-market here. Intel shares trading higher after a Reuters report suggesting that NVIDIA and Broadcom are running manufacturing tests with Intel. So this we kind of talked about this, and here we go. Intel responding positively to that news, plus 3.5%. Let's check in on Hood. This was another Bitcoin play that you folks mentioned earlier. Hood pulled back here again.
Well,
you got kind of a concerning. Sorry, 13. You got kind of a concerning daily setup here on Hood.
BTCT that is reversing off of its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Needs to recapture VWAP, which is currently at $5 flat.
BTCT, I think this really needs to get back above this level. This also looks bearish here to me. CTM, that other penny stock that we talked about earlier, that actually looks pretty decent here. See if it can push and make a little bit of a run above 150. I'd be careful and trim this. If I don't necessarily see this as a 300-400% runner here. So I'd just be sure you get your gains on that one. Avago is melting down.
This one, CTM, that it broke over the the 135 level that we had outlined that was resistant. So now we're going to want to see this hold above that. If it comes down, we're going to want to look at that level as support.
Here you go. A Broadcom. This is down 3% here, but we're basically testing the Friday lows. We'll see if we have that here. Big B's here saying, yeah, team, be careful. The opening sell-off could continue, and in fact, it is. NASDAQ, more sells. SPY, more selling here. Remember, we told you, does this hold here? Rallies are being sold. That's the new environment we're in, and that is what we're seeing here across those indices.
Yeah, We'll go back to when we have happy hour or whatever and talk about the posts and what we were talking about on Friday with a potential bull trap. Still want to see what we end up getting here today, but because I don't want to confirm like, oh, that's definitely what we're seeing here. There's the volatility in this market, and the year of the snake is gonna be prevailing all throughout the year.
The year of the snake, constant reference. I absolutely love that. By the way, Hans, you had mentioned long Reddit here. Reddit got right back to where it was at Thursday and stopped there. Really needs to get back above this, 170, 2 is that what that is?
TRNR.
172? TRNR?
Right back above VWAP. Still trying to hammer that 345 level. That is now the it's hit that level 3 times today. It needs to get over that, or else this thing's done, I think. It's let's see, we had the 15 minutes out of the open, we hit that level 345. Very next 5-minute candle, we got the rejection down to the VWAP and found the 65 EMA as support. Here we are in this next candle, still trying to hammer that 345 level. I think this has to be the one where it pushes through, or else it's done.
Barb giving you the SPX inverse ETFs here. That's awesome. Barb, you were in the pre-market saying we were going down out of the open. Really good trade there, at least so far. Palantir, this thing's Izzy. You were Palantir, Ryan. I'm sorry, Izzy. I don't know what you're referring to here, man. I'm not sure what the eyeballs mean. This thing did pop, came right back in pretty much to where it opened.
So
I would not feel good about this with the techs breaking down, right? NASDAQ trying to bounce right here, so maybe Palantir finds some footing.
It's going to have to hold above 86.54. That's where the 50-day SMA is. We popped above that, and that is going to have to be the line in the sand. If we lose that, close beneath that, then I think we're still looking at potential 70 print.
Okay, Palantir breaking down here. I'm seeing Palantir puts come across the option scanner here. Not a whole lot of those. No,
and you know what? All these movers that we're looking at this morning, they are just not having a great time right now. Almost everything is just pretty much lower.
The warning that we gave early on seems to be holding here, right? The rally absolutely got sold, at least so far. A lot of these stocks that had any type of bullish movement are giving it up. This entire opening pop is deleted on Palantir here. Apple, look at Apple. That was the bastion of safety, one might call. That gave everything back up. To those of you that were calling for this market to kind of roll over and trading it as such, so far, that looks to be the move here. S&P 500 continuing to come in green to red move now. S&P 500 futures.
Bitcoin really just taking it on the chin now. That back test that I was pointing out, that's so far holding up. Still need to see some more losses of levels here in order for confirmation that we are going lower. But it's shaping up like it's trying to go lower for now. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable once we lost 85,000 in saying that we're going lower.
TRNR did break that 350. Looks like it stopped there at 360. A reminder that your pre-market high 372. Hopefully, it looks like you folks got out on that. It looks like you folks that are trading and scalping are probably doing all right today. Yeah. Otherwise, probably pain out there. Tell you what, it's days like this where you get what was that Envious calling for the bull trap? Who was that was calling for the bull trap? That's kind of what it feels like here.
I completely agree with that. I was mentioning that on Friday that this could be a bull trap. That was my gut was telling me. I posted it in the happy hour chat, but I agree with that. This really feels like it's trapping a lot of bulls that thought we were going to reverse and go higher, especially with that Bitcoin news. I'm not trying to get in the way of Bitcoin coming down. I think it does need to come down, and I think that'll be a great opportunity. But I'm not really jumping into a whole lot here. I have just a small position in IBIT right now.
Okay, there you go.
And I'll likely add to it. I mean, when we get down to a certain level Palantir just absolutely just went straight down to, let me see here if that hit the exact level, almost down to the 50-day SMA. Really close though.
Palantir absolutely weak here. This is a nasty reversal off that $90 level. And this does, this is still up by just about 3%, 2.75% here. I wouldn't be surprised if you have a green to red move here coming on Palantir. And I would just watch the rest of the market. NASDAQ continuing to print new lows here along with the SPY. So I don't think the sell-off here is done.
I don't either.
Rallies are still getting sold. I think we have enough data so far here today to say that. Still sell the rips market. Beach bum right on the head as always.
And the broader market hasn't come down, I don't think, enough. Nope. We only got a 5% pullback on the broader market. I think we're going to need to see more pain than that.
And so that was one of the questions that I was posing earlier when I started with the SPY here. Are we content effectively with the 5% pullback? And I don't think that I don't think, at least from our happy hour discussions, I want this market lower than that. I really want a lot of these names to get hit, right? Show us the strength, get hit here. I'll be interested to see here. We just lost the 100-day. Watch that 593.79 level. That's where your 100-day is. We lost that. We'll see I know it's early in the day. Things can change here, especially when people start talking. And but so far here, some weakness. Yeah.
One person in particular might start talking.
Yeah.
So and that could change the direction of the market, or it could just continue. It just depends on what's said. So yeah, absolutely. There's going to be headlines and news coming out all throughout the day that could absolutely reverse market sentiment. For now, it just seems bearish.
Which, again, frankly, I'll take it. Mm-hmm. If you asked me, would you rather go to new highs here on the SPY, or would you rather pull down to the 10% pullback level, or maybe even a little less? I would say I want to see this come in.
Yeah.
I really want to see this come in. I want stuff to get hit.
Yeah.
We just had 13. We just had Tim Melvin coming on, and he was giving us ideas to trade here. None of them were US based. All of them either in Europe or in Japan. And the theme was looking for value. We had Tim Melvin tell you that the US stock market is overheated. We've been telling you that for a long time. Let's shake it out. Let's come back in.
Yep. I'm perfectly content with that happening. It's going to create opportunities for us to buy lower.
Sir.
It seems like a lot of you in chat are already, getting ready to buy lower. That's great. I think we just need to exercise a little bit of patience, because I don't know if it's going to happen very quickly, or if it's going to take, maybe weeks to possibly months. I don't think it would be months. I think we're going to see, more of a broader correction, certainly throughout this weak seasonality in March. But how long it goes on for, like if it goes into April, that I'm not making any predictions of yet.
Tom here saying cash is king right now. Sit back and wait for the opportunity to jump in. Indeed. This is one of the reasons why you're seeing me back off some of the active trading here. I don't want, again, envious. I think it was envious that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I think that you had called for a bull trap early. I'll be honest with you. This absolutely looks like a bull trap right out of the open. And prior to the open here, I was telling you, I made a point of saying how we are in a sell the rally mode here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, let me check. I got some stuff here at work I got to deal with.
And hey, Craig Miller, AT&T being your biggest winner so far this year, it's been on a great run. And, it was a great winner for me too. I think it's getting pretty extended up here. And, if we start to see meta rollover, it's going to start to, and Google, and they print lower, it's going to start taking the ETFs that AT&T and Verizon and a lot of these other telecoms are in. So you might see some weakness there too. I think, and I'm not in AT&T anymore. I think it was a great stock to own, still a great dividend play, but don't necessarily want to own it up here. I'd prefer to own it lower if so I'll be waiting for it to come back in.
Okay.
TRNR giving us exactly what we needed to see. Moving over to that 345 level, the 350 level you pointed out. We closed above that. Now we're breaking the pre-market highs, looking for 4, folks.
There you go, TRNR. So this gave it to you. Volume still expanding here. Really good stuff here. I stayed out of this one, and it looks like that was the wrong move. I think it was Glenn. Glenn, you were saying, look at the Tim list of tickers. They're all green. Again, the value one there, the value plays there, all green.
Yep.
All green here. Seeing some news come across the wire here. Zelensky quote, end of war with Russia is very, very far away. So there's one guy that still wants to keep fighting. And that is likely having an effect here as the market continues to pull back here. Big knife on SPY, NASDAQ really leading the way down here, down 0.5%. And Dow actually has lightened up here too. Dow just flirted with going green to red.
Almost hit the 50-day SMA in SPY before we reversed. So let's see, levels on the way down for SPY.
Let me bring that up here real quick.
Currently flirting with one at 591.93. That's a previous all-time high. Beneath that, you have 586.12 and 585.27. The 5% pullback level that we rebounded off of on Friday, that's going to be at 582.57.
Okay. All right. We have a little bit of a sell-off here. 10 o'clock on a Monday. You folks know what that means. It is time for Matt Maley. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Good morning, Matt. Happy Monday. Hope you're doing all right. How was your weekend?
Very nice. How about you guys?
It was excellent. Good. Look, over the weekend, we did kick something around here because I was doing some trade from last week and my eyes got as big as dinner plates here. I was wondering, would you be open to the nickname Matt Money Maley on our show?
I don't know about that. We had some tough calls, but yeah, our call to looking for a bounce in the market on Friday worked out very, very well. We everybody was talking about what's going on in DC, and I said, no, this is not that big a deal. They're going to have to come back, whatever. The market was oversold, especially some of the key stocks were oversold. And kind of getting washed out, like Palantir and Tesla and stuff like that. So we called and made a bet in our chat room to bought some QQQ calls and some SQQQ puts, which obviously are a bullish play, and they worked out very, very nicely. We sold some of those up 200% this morning. However, the market rolled back over again. I guess the ISM number out at 10 o'clock, the prices paid component was higher than expected. That seems to be so I'm glad we took the profits. We took most of the profits. We did keep a few runners. But to be honest with you, I must admit, I just think the market, and for all the reasons we've been talking about, I'm still cautious on the market overall. But I just think that the things are getting a little bit washed out with the big cap tech names and mega cap tech names. I do think also that this whole thing with the tariff issue, Canada, Mexico has already said that they're going to go ahead and join the U.S. with the tariffs on China. My feeling is that Canada will do the same thing by tomorrow. If they do that and tweak a little things on the border issue, I think there's a good chance that they'll postpone those tariffs again, and not on China, but on Texas. I'm sorry, Texas, Canada and Mexico. If that happens, that could be something that will give us a nice little relief rally as well when you got Bitcoin finally bouncing back, et cetera. This is only a short-term play, but I do think people need to be careful about making negative bets right here over the next few days. I don't think that Trump is going to always postpone tariffs, because at some point you've got to you say they use the carrot or the stick. You've got to actually use the stick.
Right.
And I think they will. I just don't know that it'll happen this week with what's going on in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Matt. If you're going to keep posturing and using this for negotiation purposes, you really need to show that it has teeth. Right. It can't just be an act the entire time. Really good stuff there, by the way. One of the other questions, one of the things that we've been kind of talking about here on our show is in terms of a move down in the broader market here. We did, of course, test a 5% pullback from the highs last week. We did that right at the end. We bounced pretty successfully on Friday. My question to you is, do you think 5% is enough, or do you really think we need to kind of shake out some more weak hands here, maybe reset some of the valuations and some of the frothiness here? What do you think? Is 5% good, or do we need some more downside?
No, I definitely think we need more downside. Again, it may not, and I'm thinking probably won't come immediately. But I couldn't believe some of the narrative people saying, "You think everything's washed out?" Washed out. We're less, we're not even 5% from an all-time high, not just down from an all-time high. Market's still trading at 22, depending on how you measure it. Leon Cooperman was on this morning saying at his reading, he thinks it's 23 times earnings. But either way, you're at 22, 23 times earnings, more than 3 times sales. That doesn't wash out anything. And this whole talk about the broadening out of the market, broadening out of earnings, they're getting a little bit better for the S&P 493, but not much at all. They're actually getting worse for the overall S&P, and all this broadening out of the market is just causing it to go sideways. And like we've talked about, the market can go sideways as long as the tech stocks hold up, and they're not holding up anymore. They're starting to roll over, and we got more evidence last week that the AI market is going to be as profitable as the market has been pricing in. And the price has been pricing in a huge, again, it's going to be profitable. It's going to change the world, but it's way overpriced, I believe. And I think that's starting to show up. When you combine that with the slower growth in the economy, what we're seeing in housing and the consumer, and it just makes it hard for an overpriced stock market, expensive stock market to hold up. So I think we're going to see at least a 10% correction before long. Again, I think today's dip will bounce back on a near-term basis, but I do think the situation has changed from buying the dips to selling the rallies, and I want to be. I'm not buying this dip maybe for a very short-term trade, but after it gets after that, any kind of rally, I think will be a good opportunity to take some more chips off the table and get more defensive.
Matt, that's music to my ears. I have been saying all morning and into last week that the chain, it's clearly the sentiment has changed here, right? We were buying dips. Now we're selling rallies. You said the same thing here. Real quick, one of the other things I was mentioning yesterday, I'm not sure if you know Kenny Polcari, one of the market makers from the New York Stock Exchange. He was saying last week, in the midst of all of this, saying, folks, a 6% pullback is normal trading action. So to your point about stuff being washed out, like this is not even a correction. This is normal trading action. Let's see what happens if we come down to that 10% level.
Even in the best years of stock market. No, I think most people agree we're not going to have another up 25% year. Maybe we will, but 2 years in a row up 25% or so. But even in years like that, you usually get a correction. We didn't get one last year, but we did the year before. And so even in really great years, if things are starting to slow down, you should be expecting it, I guess is my point.
Okay. Real good stuff there. 13, you got anything for Matt?
Yeah, I'm just curious. We're seeing we've only seen like a 5% correction in the SPY or the broader market, but we look at these individual names like NVIDIA, we'll take as an example. That's down over 22% from its high. So could those continue to get hammered substantially, or because of how much they've already, I guess, corrected, could we start to see these just either move sideways or try and recover?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could. Well, again, short term, I do think they're Nvidia's really getting pounded again. I say pounded, but it got hit again today. Last I saw, it was still holding above that key kind of 116 level, its recent lows. But I'd be honest with you, I don't. And again, I'm not necessarily calling for it or betting on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nvidia eventually got down towards the 100 level at some point this spring. And I just think, again, Palantir, some of these stocks. Big sell, but Palantir is really not oversold. It's oversold on a very, very short-term basis. You look at its RSI charts, nothing, all that bad. So I think, again, nothing moves in a straight line. I think we'll see a bounce here, but I do think those things roll back over again. And it's again, this whole thing with rotation sounds real good, but at some point when the market's going down, instead of just market's going sideways, people say, okay, I'll sell some NVIDIA and buy some financial stocks or something. But the market starts going down, the people start saying, ooh, okay, something, that 5% cash looks pretty good right now. I'm going to take some of the proceeds from that NVIDIA sale or whatever stock you might want to be talking about and put it into cash for a little while. I think that's a good idea for now. Don't go 25 to 50% cash. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that having a little cash, so when there does present a good buying opportunity, when things get really washed out later this spring, then you got some ammunition and confidence to make that trade.
And are you actively taking like SQQQ puts or anything to play the SQQQ, or not puts but calls, or anything that you're taking to play the downside, or is this more of a let's sit on the sidelines with my cash and just see what happens?
No, well, right now, believe it or not, before this week I came on here, I've actually bought some SQQQ puts, small, because I think we'll see a bounce here in the next couple of days. So in other words, SQQ puts, meaning that SQQ will go down and the market will go up. But after that, and then we do already have we're kind of hedged a little bit with some SQQQ calls for the end of the week. But after that, any kind of bounce here, I'll definitely be taking advantage of that with SQQ calls. And or QQQ puts, and we'll look at puts on individual stocks as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And Matt, you were doing that last week. SQQQ sales 1, 2, 400%. You had a TZA 100% trade in there too. So really, really nimble. Folks, if you want to trade along with Matt, please check out his services. Reach out to any one of us here. We'll get you in touch. We'll get you set up. Matt, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough for joining us here. It is definitely going to be a volatile week. We're going to check in with you next week. Have a good rest of your week. All right.
You too, guys. Have a great one.
All right, that is Matt Maley. He declined the Matt Money Maley nickname. That's okay. We're still going to be printing with Matt on a regular basis. Really good stuff.
Yeah, printing daily with Matt Maley.
Yeah, we're lucky that he shows up here and gives us his thoughts on the market. And I am doing a mini victory lap in my head because I am on the exact same page as Matt is right now, or at least it seems like that. So, okay, really good stuff there from Matt, folks. Again, look, if you need help, if this market is kind of confusing you, or if you're just not sure what to do, reach out to me. Anyone on our team will get you set up. Matt can help giving you some trade ideas. What do you got, 13?
Soundhound. Some of these names are starting to reverse. Soundhound might take out this intra-session high. Out of the gate, it popped to 1145. Just ended up selling the rest of the time, and then after bottom ticking 1066, it's reversed. Had a pretty big recovery, making its way through consolidation in the pre-market as well. So that one looking like this is going to try and take out 1145. GER also trying to do the same thing, reversing off the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. BBAI trying to reverse, but this looks a little bit more bearish to me. Still beneath VWAP. I don't know that this is going to recover. It would have to take out 535 in order to do that. Some of these looking like they're bouncing, but I don't know that I would be holding into these bounces. I'd just probably scalp or just quick in and out trade these, because they could just turn around and come right back in.
Hey, good stuff there. Your printing daily with Matt Maley really is going over well. So good stuff there. BTI, this actually kind of a nasty move there. Looking at the SPY here, it looks like we tried to bounce here, but I think I like Bigab's comment here the most. Here you go. Bigab's, perhaps this churns all morning like we did on Friday. Don't get chewed up. So again, if we zoom out here, this did kind of churn. We really didn't get any type of good move until the afternoon on Friday when all of the commotion was going on. Big B's, I'm with you there. Do not get churned up here. Do not get chewed up while this is churning here. I think on a day like today, you're being a little bit more tactical, a little bit more conservative, and a little bit more protective. Probably not the worst plan for your portfolio.
All right. What is? Yeah, no positions right now. I was looking for something.
Me either. Me either. I did notice Apple finally went red, although it's holding lower here. Some of those high flyer tech names did the same thing. PanW, another one. And I'll tell you what, a move lower in a lot of these names would really get me excited. I'd love to maybe add Apple for a short-term trade, maybe add some PanW for the long-term, or Palantir for the long term. Bitcoin, by the way, trying to bounce off the bottom. Whoever was tracking VIX earlier, VIX looking like it's testing the 21 level. So see if we can get above that and maybe get some more volatility rolling here. Quick look at the banks. I guess Goldman Sachs is about even. I hadn't checked in on JP Morgan yet. That's about flat. You check in on some of the other names that you folks were trading. Disney here. This is holding up about 1%. What else did we have here? Hood, Mansour. You're asking about Hood. We took a look at that earlier. That's weak.
Bitcoin, to me, I think this needs to recapture 90,750. That seems to be the near-term resistance. You can draw a line right there and go back all the way to yesterday, Sunday, if your broker allows you to see what the price action was over the weekend, and see that was a breakout level, and then it turned into support that allowed it to go on this rally here and up to 95. So I think that's a bit of an important area to watch for with that one. That's going to be $90,750.
So this is interesting here. We did have Big B's saying Trump and TSMC, which is ticker TSM here, Taiwan Semiconductor, about to announce $100 billion investment in U.S. Now here we go. Trump, there it was Wall Street Journal. So that was awesome there. We actually had Reuters, saying that TSMC was pleased to meet with Trump. Here we go. Trump chipmaker TSMC expected to announce $100 billion investment in the United States. That's courtesy of the Wall Street Journal. TSM holding lower here, actually taking another leg lower here, minus 3.6%. So TSM moving lower on that newsprint.
Well, yeah, if they're spending a lot of money, then that's money leaving the company. So it's going to go down.
Sorry, just commenting on the price action. You're right about that.
Gotcha. Looking like some of these Bitcoin names are starting to slow down. CLSK coming down to the consolidation from after hours on Friday. So let's see if there's going to be a bounce or a support. Let's see if $8 can support the falling price action here.
I'll tell you what, this chart looks different than the Bitcoin chart. The Bitcoin chart looks like it's kind of already bounced and that bottom's been put in. So we'll see there. It looks more like this Coinbase chart. than the CLSK chart. I like your level there of 8, by the way, 13. I like that a lot. See if that slows down here. Ryan saying any gold buyers. By the way, speaking of gold buyers, anyone that has actually bought gold, do you buy physical gold? If so, where? And then as kind of an aside, has anyone bought gold from Costco? I'm just curious on that because that was in the news a lot. I've seen the sign in my Costco. It says, if you're interested in the gold bars, ask, because they sell out every time. Yeah. Just wondering if anyone here has experience with it.
That was awesome. We actually talked about that the first time they were selling it at Costco. Yes, I said they're going to sell every single one of those.
You were correct. They can't keep them in stock, dude.
No, they can't, because inflation is what's on the mind of the consumer more than I think anything else.
Yeah,
maybe that right. And their debt. So they're thinking that, we're just going to continue with this. This is especially true for the last administration. So they were thinking that, maybe I better hedge against inflation and scoop up all this gold that Costco's offering. Every person that bought that gold at Costco is now doing very well with what they bought, because it's much higher now. But yes, silver is a very interesting one, because I think the gold silver ratio is still pretty high. So silver is going to have to rise in that valuation, and we may end up seeing that happen. Maybe sometime throughout this year. The thing about silver is that there's no more surface mining availability for silver. It's all deep mining. Mm-hmm. So in order to extract that from the earth is going to be even more costly than it used to be.
And I believe we've talked with Tim about this, as well as Matt about this. Really likes silver there. Smoke Tuna saying, did you guys watch the last Rogan Elon episode? Yes, I didn't quite finish it. I think I've got like 40 minutes left, but yes, I have. It's excellent so far. The Elixir done on the day, made 42% going fishing. That's a hell of a day.
Perfect.
Way to go.
Perfect. Way to go. I love it. You had a big win, and now it's time to relax. Put your feet up, and you know what? I bet your coffee's not even finished yet.
Fairchild says, in the summer, I pan gold out of the creek for fun. Have you found anything, Fairchild? Have you found anything panning for gold? Doesn't it need to be in a river that kind of snakes back and forth, because the gold is a little bit heavier and then it gets trapped in the banks? There just needs to be some gold-bearing node somewhere, I believe. Anyway, would love to hear. Oh, yes. No, Tuna, yes. I actually opened up Grok to see if that was available. That was actually pretty funny. The smack-talking AI girl at the beginning of the episode, rather amusing. I think I'd get tired of that personally in my own personal use, though. I actually used GPT tools over the weekend and had a very pleasant experience pretty much the entire time. That's neither here nor there, though. Anyone see any setups out there? I'm going to roll through some of the names here. Acon. So sorry, 13, real quick here. Lion, I think you had said, I think we bounce. Yes, here we go. Lion, I think we may bounce later in the day. So we did have this kind of sell-off here. Does look like the market is kind of trying to hold in here. Maybe it even turns around. So what would some of those bounce potential stocks be? Acon here, one of the crappy movers. This actually looks very much like the SPY chart here. It looks like we sold off right out of the open, but seem to be curling a little bit here. We'll see if this holds and then maybe even reverses for a trade. I really would like to see the volume kick up on some of these names. Not seeing that yet.
I'd need to see more price action out of SPY in order to feel confident that we're going to reverse here. For me, when it comes to something that might make a move, it's going to be Soundhound. That's still it went right up to 1145, trying to break through it right now. Needs a little bit more volume, but it could do it. Well, there it goes. The thing I was going to mention is that if it holds 1130, which is kind of the top of the consolidation from the pre-market price action. That would be a good sign of this going higher. We didn't get down to this candle, but we did last candle, and so it back tested that. Now we're pushing higher. Where this goes, I'm not exactly sure how high it could go, but the level I have above where it's at right now is 1245.
Okay, this chart actually doesn't look terrible. I don't trust it, but it doesn't look terrible. GUR, this is another one that we were talking about earlier. This one might be on watch if we can recapture the VWAP. So far, the sell-off has stopped. If you get a volume that kind of expands to the upside, you might have something here. GRRR. BTAI, this actually looks like this is grinding. It's done a great job holding above its VWAP. Entry around VWAP for a trade might make sense here. BTAI. Nami, we didn't look at this one earlier. Okay, this is a Chinese name with really, really low volume. Be careful there, folks.
Yeah, BTAI is going to have to make the move like pretty soon. Otherwise, I think this rolls over. Might make it here, but I think it has to do it pretty soon because the way the MACD is looking to me, it's starting to look a little weak. Yeah, I'm not going to make any prediction with this one. I need to see a little bit more out of it first.
Market is starting to bounce here, Lion, but remember, we actually saw one bounce earlier that kind of resulted in a bit of a trap, or at least that move up. For the move preceding it was a little bit of a pull there. We are bouncing here, so we'll see if this kind of firms up.
94. I'm sorry, 594. That's going to be the level we need to take out in the SPY in order to continue upwards. And if you want, you can look at a 5-minute chart and see that the consolidation from after hours, after we closed, created this whole, well, now it's a supply zone that it's trying to get up and through right now. So if we cannot take out 594 in the SPY here, pretty much now, I think this is going to come back in and go lower.
All right, here you go. Reversal here in TSM after that news of $100 billion investment into the United States. TSM recaptured its VWAP. I'd like to see a little bit more volume here, but this is a nice move up off the lows there, ticker TSM. This bounce being mirrored in some other stocks, most notably in Tesla, which actually gave a trade here, if you trusted that. Nice little 3-point move off that. Apple also turning around here. So Lion, I so far so good. The big thing that I want the group to be weary of, let's not get trapped, right? The whole object here of trying to be patient is to not make mistakes. I guess if you're comfortable being nimble, that's one thing. 13, your IBIT kind of curling here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me look at this. It's just it's not enough for me to be like, oh yeah, we're turning around definitely here and we're going higher. This doesn't look bullish to me. This price action, and I bet that looks like a bear flag.
By the way, Foot Locker here, this having a fairly nice day. They report earnings here this week before the market opens. Foot Locker, one of the other stocks that we've been looking at recently that kind of related to Foot Locker is going to be Nike. This continued to trade pretty well, above 80 here on Nike.
Yeah, that's working out pretty well.
AppLovin continuing to make us love it. Those short reports, man, every one of them we got to try trading. Every one of them.
It's a theme. It's a theme that y'all identified, and every time that we see one, we're gonna be like, okay, let's read the short report and see what they got to say, and we're gonna look at the technicals, the chart of that particular stock, because that's gonna be able to show us all the different areas where there might be support and resistance, and we're gonna identify the hell out of them, especially if this is a theme. We're gonna figure out where the price could run back up to, how far down it could go. I think it's gonna be a great thing going forward this year. We will figure it out. Looks like
yep,
BBAI trying to hold above VWAP. If this retakes 550. Then I think this may end up running to up to 6.
Rahman asking, getting news this fast is insane, LOL. Where are these reports coming from? Couple of things contributing. First of all, you found yourself into the right community because it's not just the two faces that you see on the screen. Everyone here in the chat participates in bringing news and ideas to the group. So welcome. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. But the technical answer to this question here, Benzinga Pro, bro, breaking news wire, going to give you that information as fast as possible. The other thing that we're doing here is on my screen, I'm actually using a scanner that is looking at volume, more specifically relative volume. So sometimes we're actually able to catch things before the news is actually floating around. We see the stock actually reacting to that. So enjoy yourself. Make yourself comfortable. Reddit to some new. Who bought Reddit on the dip? Wasn't there someone trading Reddit earlier today? Hans, was that you or Mark? I feel like one of you. And I'm doing my best with the names, folks. I really am. I'm trying to train my memory to just be better. Reddit here, some new highs. This is actually kind of bucking the trend. And now looking at the breadth here, we kind of have a mixed market here. SPY, Qs, and NICE, all positive breadth. Dow and Russell, negative. But that Russell, close to going green, too.
And here we are with the SPY. Coming right up to 594. That's the level I'm watching for right now. If we start trading above 594, that would make me feel a little bit more confident about some of the names.
594, and that's our VWAP. Okay. It's neat. Hans, great stuff on Reddit. Hans, way to go, dude. Still long. What's your target on that, by the way? What's your sell target on that? Nice trade here so far this morning. Lion says, Ryan, those short reports are my specialty. I'll keep telling them. I'll keep telling you that they come out here, Lion.
Well, then you have to be sad that Hindenburg threw in the towel.
I mean, I think we're sad for that in general. Hindenburg, one of the ones that actually did quality research. And forget their calls for a sec. The actual research that they did themselves, very, very good. Lots of stuff turning around here. The question is going to be, does that hold? And if you're going to trade it, just make sure you have what I would say is if you're going to trade the action here today, the smartest thing that you can do is have a plan for the downside first, so that if the trade goes against you, you're still in protect capital mode. If you hook one like Hans did here with Reddit, for example, which really didn't show some of the pullback weakness that we have seen from some of these other names, great. Be sure to take gains on that. But I still think that your primary goal on a day like today, especially with all of this headline risk that we have, capital preservation here. Don't get fooled by a potential trap. And that goes for some of these smaller names too, because these things like to be a two-face. BBAI here, by the way, up off the lows after a nasty sell-off down to 5. We're trying to recapture VWAP here, but again, let's see if we've got the strength to go higher on that.
Yeah, the MACD is starting to look like it could go higher, but the level I pointed out earlier, the 550, that's going to be the big question mark for me. If we can recapture that, then I think that it could end up seeing 6, maybe even higher. But I want to see that 550 get captured.
Bloom Energy here. Where's Nick when we need him? Ticker BE, Bloom Energy. This actually a nice looking, it's kind of a janky flag, maybe a little bit more data than we need for a flag, but a nice little move here, nice little consolidation area between 22 and 26. This to me looks like this might try and go higher here if energy stays one of the better themes. Plus 4% here today on ticker BE, Bloom Energy. This looking pretty good. As far as the next level here that I'd be looking at, what happens at 26?
SPY through 594.
SPY bounce continues.
All right, let's see what we got here. That one's a little bit beneath there. Uh-oh. Are we going to hold 594? Looks like TRNR testing its VWAP. BBAI almost to that. Well, it's got a little bit of ways to go, but looking like 550 is going to be in the cards. Lots of reversing, but so is SPY. Need to hold that 594 now.
Yep, it's trying. Tesla reversing, that's trying too. Amazon really kind of the weakest of some of those names here. Moved down, it tried to bounce. This actually looks like it might be rolling over again. S&P futures, that bounce seems like it's slowing down a little bit here.
Uh-oh. Not what you want to see in SPY.
What? The
Well, 594.
unable to hold 594 might just kind of be testing that right here.
Well, it popped up above it and went as high as 594.61. So it went really into that handle, but we still have 3 minutes left in this candle. So let's just wait and see what it does.
TSM here looking like it's trying to go red to green. Izzy here, you always look for strong stocks in a weak market. That's how you make money. Trading 101. Indeed, relative strength. We've talked a lot about, especially when you're in a bullish trend in the market. I'll tell you what, my favorite overall environment are days where we are clearly in a bullish trend. Small caps are doing well, even some of the scammier ones. And then you get a day where all of a sudden you're bearish. Right? You're normally every day is pretty bullish, and then all of a sudden you get one day where it's really, really bearish. Those stocks that show strength on that bearish day, always the better ones to trade. I mean, always. That relative strength really, really comes home to roost. And when you can find it, those are really good targets. That's a good mention there, Izzy. Good strategy there for trading.
Gary.
And sorry, 13. When you have chop like this, sometimes it can be really kind of hard to figure out which one of those actually has this. By the way, since we've been talking, Russell breath has now turned green. So maybe that bounce continues here.
Gary, TRNR levels, we're going to be looking at the 369 pre-market high. It needs to hold VWAP, which I have at 344, call it 345. And then the highs at the tweezer top that we just actually put in about 30 minutes ago at 396. Those are going to be the next levels I'd be looking forward to the upside. Beyond that, if we get into the 4 handle, let's see here. Let me just give me 1 second. I'll tell you what I see.
And I can put a chart on screen too. I'm just kind of running through some of the movers that we were looking at earlier.
So there, if we get up to 4, then there's this consolidation back in November that I'd be a little bit concerned about. And if we are going to get through that, then that means we're going to see a 6 print, because that's the top end of that. So between 4 and 6 might get a little choppy. I'm not exactly sure what kind of price action we're going to see, but that would be my next big concern if we get back up to 4. Is that consolidation from November. All right. So hopefully that helps you out. And well done on your entry. That was a nice entry.
Just kind of looking through stuff here. Tesla seems to have options both sides of the tape. Looks like the option traders are out both sides of the tape here on Tesla. I can't make a read one way or another. Rigetti here, that looked like a pretty nasty sell-off earlier, went green to red, now back to green. So the quantum names also chopping along here with the rest of tech, it looks like.
Yeah, I believe Ionic had news today as well.
Oh, what was that? Let me check in on that.
I thought they had some kind of announcement that they're about revenue that they anticipate.
I didn't see when I did. No, I do see something from Sunday. Ionic's strategic transition and growth potential amid leadership changes. That was from the weekend.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
And Morgan Stanley cut its price target from 37 to 29 on the back of that news.
And that's funny because that was almost where it was this morning. It almost went to 29. Just like $1.50 shy, I believe. No problem, Gary. All right, so what else is looking like it's rebounding? This is a third candle for hollow, and it's still beneath VWAP. Have my doubts.
You know what? Shame on me, 13. I blame myself. I haven't looked at hollow enough since we opened here. Oh, this is why.
Yeah, because, it's hollow.
I basically just retraced the entire move.
All right. Yes, just a bunch of sideways action I'm seeing at the moment. Not too many things with a robust rebound.
Seems kind of muted. And actually, I wouldn't even be terribly shocked if the market rolls over one more time.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of great setups that I'd be willing to jump into right now. Nothing that looks rock solid like it's about to explode. Maybe some of the Bitcoin names, like CLSK, maybe, but I just don't feel great about saying for sure. Yeah, Palantir popped above its VWAP and it came right back in. It only spent about 5 minutes hanging out above it, and now we're back to selling off again. And there goes the SPY again. That 594 rejection. I think that was a great mention right before it happened about the SPY, about the market polling, because we just got a little bit of that.
We're basically, I wish I was doing something crazy here. We're basically just shouting the technicals that we see off the chart, and the stocks are responding to that. Mm-hmm. Another pull here in the SPY. We'll see where this one breaks down. Look, we were just talking to you about trapping, right? Don't get trapped on some of these bounce moves here. Big pullback now.
Now, if we go down in SPY and lose that 591.93 previous all-time high, then I think we are going to end up seeing lower prints. The lowest print of the day so far has been 590 and 71 cents. So we could go lower than that if we lose that 591.93 level. That's what I'm watching for. NOK strong.
I was just asking out loud how the volume is doing here on SPY. About 13.5 million here at this point. I don't really take anything from that. Not super low, really not super high. Sorry for interrupting.
No worries. Nokia had some news that they're going to establish an AI RAN center in the U.S. And let's see, they also, Lockheed, Nokia, and Verizon are expanding 5G capabilities for defense. One other thing is that Nokia, and this is with regard to lunar spacecraft that's on the way to the moon, they are using Nokia 4G systems for communication with all the different instruments that they have aboard that craft. I don't know how many people have looked into what this current Intuitive Machines launch is about, but the lander that's going to be, sitting down on the moon and hopefully not tipping over is
that landed, right? Is that still on the way?
It's on the way.
6th?
It should be the 6th or 7th when it actually touches.
Okay, I got my days mixed up. That's all.
No, it's yeah, we actually have a SpaceX launch today because that got moved from Friday to today. But anyway, with regard to Intuitive Machines, there's a lot of other smaller instruments like little rovers and other scientific instruments that are kind of autonomous. They're all going to have to communicate with the main landing unit that Intuitive Machines has, and that's going to be using Nokia's 4G capability. So could see a little bit of movement in Nokia when we get news on Lunar's spacecraft landing.
CTM here, this is grinding higher. I did say I didn't think this was going to be a multiple 100% mover, but we're up 52% here. So this has actually been pretty decent. This reclaim of the VWAP, this has been a slow grind higher.
The folks are mentioning that something landed on the moon. That would be Firefly's Blue Ghost. That's what landed.
I have trouble keeping track. I'm so glad you're here, 13, because I have so much trouble keeping the track of all the different companies and the names of their spacecraft and all of that. Elon, actually, on the Rogan podcast that was mentioned here earlier, Elon had mentioned, what was it, Dragon? What was the name of the spacecraft that he's going to use to rescue the astronaut that the government left up there for political purposes?
Yeah, I know which, the craft you're talking about. What was he saying about it?
He was saying how his is the only one that's capable of getting those astronauts home that's still deemed safe by NASA. The only other option they have would be to ask Russia for help. And I think we can all agree that would be awkward. Yeah.
So because the one before it was the Dreamliner from Boeing, and we all know how that turned out. They're the reason. That's the reason why. Well, the initial reason why the astronauts are still stranded up there. and now it looks like Boeing's whole space division may just completely get either sold off or axed, or it's not looking great for Boeing's space division. They're going to have to go back to the basics with their military defense and commercial airliner contracts, because it's not looking great for space. But yes, that's true that their Dragon capsule is the SpaceX's Dragon capsule is the only craft that can actually do that right now without looking for outside help. Still think this is going to be a very big year for space and space stocks. There's a lot of companies and a lot of countries that are going to be entering the whole space race. India is going to be doing some launches. I don't have a list of all the countries, but there are a lot of other companies too. That could be great for Rocket Lab and them getting more business. SpaceX is going to get more business. SpaceX is the one that's sending intuitive machines to the lander to the moon. So lots of great things going to be happening this year with space stocks, I believe.
Real quickly here regarding Chipotle, I see that Izzy here mentioning Chipotle. This did get an upgrade. One of the other things is that Boatwright was on earlier saying that they're going to do everything they can. I'm trying to remember the exact language he used so I don't misquote him, because that's not my intention. But the gist of what he was saying was that they are going to wait as long as they can and not just instantly pass on costs associated with tariffs to the customer. Obviously, there's a breaking point there at some point, but the gist of what he was saying is that customers should not expect that, at least not early on here. The Morgan Stanley is the upgrade that I'm seeing here in the news feed by that. CMG, by the way, holding here at 55. I'm still waiting for another good move here on CMG. I think that $50 area was a pretty good buy. Several of you, I think, were on that when we traded down to 50.
Yeah, Big B's, I don't necessarily know if that's going to be a great move for Boeing, because I believe one of the only reasons why they still exist as a company is because of their connection to government services.
Yeah, no question.
Because otherwise they're losing billions. So if they spin or sell that off, then what really do they have besides a commercial airliner program that they need to really fix? Maybe it's something we can talk about in happy hour, but it's the concern is that they're going to run into some huge problems if they lose their lifeline to staying relevant.
And for all you pro members here, there is no happy hour today. I'm unfortunately going to be out this afternoon. I don't know if you caught that there, 13, but I'll throw another reminder there in the chat if you wouldn't mind helping me. Everything's fine, and we will be back tomorrow. We're just not going to do one here today. If you do need to participate, I encourage all of you to join Benzinga Pro and get in that chat room, because that happy hour is 24/7. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Am I right?
Yes, sir. All right. So now SPY really breaking out of that 594 area, got up to 595. Next area of resistance is going to be, let's call it 595.75. I see some resistance there, but market seems to be recovering. So let's see what we can find here for trades. And I'm still going to be very cautious.
I was going to say a lot of choppiness here. Nothing's really kind of changed on that front. If I can time something and capture it, giddy up, but still very, very clearly chopping around here.
I don't want to pick anything up that looks like it's already began its run. Just something that looks like it's got the setup and it could get going. Maybe some of these Bitcoin names. What's Bitcoin?
Now the Bitcoin move, that one is interesting here. By the way, so on the morning sell-off here so far, Bitcoin did put in that low. The bounce here, it's obviously, oscillating back and forth like normal, but the bounce here, pretty good. Lows so far are in for the day. Bharat asking if we can take a look at Palantir once. Bharat, the show starts at 8 a.m. Try joining a little bit earlier. We've taken a look at, I don't mean to be a smartass, but we've taken a look at Palantir about 15 times already today. So we will make it time number 16. This pretty much just kind of following along with the rest of the market here, really kind of choppy on Palantir. We actually spoke with Matt about this earlier. the chart here kind of round trip this last move. Maybe this is due for a short-term bounce, but again, still think this one could come in a little bit and make it a little bit more, make a little bit more sense to add this long-term as it comes in. Choppy here today, plus 3.5%.
Yeah, I'm just not keen on giving up the gains I made in TRNR this morning. So just, going to be trading very small or not at all. This just because I'm, skeptical of this this price action we're seeing. Palantir now trading lower, and there is a bit of a trend line there on the 5-minute chart based off the highs that we've been putting in this morning. So that would be the trend that I think needs to get broken for this to go much higher. That would be a break at around $89. So got to stop this downward action that it's putting in right now.
Okay. Just saw the coolest thing I've seen in weeks on the internet. So I'm going to share it with you. I apologize for this being not even remotely close to trading related, but again, consider it a timeline cleanse here. A dog ran onto a track doing a high school relay race and covered 100 meters in 10.5 seconds. As you would imagine, the dog won that.
Silence.
So there you go. Through that tweet in the chat. That should put a smile on your face here this morning, folks. Dogs, man, we don't deserve them. That is awesome. Okay, sorry for digressing here. Couldn't help myself. Cool animal videos like that, they always get me distracted, 13. I apologize to you and the group.
It's okay. We always have to know who's a good boy.
That was so well done. I'm a little impressed with that. Way to go, 13. You guys are asking about Amazon. We've taken a look at Amazon a couple of times here today. Weak, but I wouldn't necessarily. This actually, what's funny is that the shape of this intraday pattern on Amazon looks identical to Bitcoin. So the big move down here, but we've kind of grinded up off those lows. The daily chart here on Amazon, also one that you should pay attention to. I do think that this 215 to 216 area, a pretty important level. We'll see if we can get above that. Amazon, the reality is I love this long term. So we have been talking about kind of rooting for a sell-off here in the market to make some of these stocks a little bit more affordable, bring some of the valuations in. Amazon is a prime catalyst to that. If the market gets hit and Amazon gets really sold, this is definitely one that I'd look to add for the long term. By the way, looking at SPY here, we still have some chop. This is pulling now.
Did you say Amazon 216 and 15 cents?
Yeah, I said basically the 215 to 216 area, but if there's one there with a specific price point around that area, I would be not shocked at all.
I mean, 216 and 15 cents doesn't look bad to me at all. I mean, that was, let's see, this is a daily chart I'm looking at, and that was pretty much, it says 215.90 that day. But anyway, it's pretty close. 216 seems like a pretty interesting level in Amazon. Now, if we do end up trading back up there, I'd be watching for a rejection because I think this thing may end up ultimately is going to go down to 200.
Okay. Izzy here saying, by the way, no touch on Amazon till 205 entry. I'd mark that one off. Izzy, he's on Amazon every day, does a really good job trading that one back and forth. So good stuff there. Webcoin's asking, does your cat know that you're watching dog videos? Yes. In fact, my cat behaves like a dog. My cat would have a dog companion if I didn't have rules for where I live that I have to obey, unfortunately. But yes, he's not offended by that. He's a big friendly guy. TRNR holding here at that 360. I'd still watch this spot, this 360 spot. This was a spot earlier. It's still a spot here intraday. I would not be shocked if we printed fours here today, especially if we get the volume to cooperate. See what Bitcoin. Let me check the Bitcoin futures chart here real quick. Bitcoin it's still grinding there. Okay.
Yeah, that 360 area going to be the area I'm going to be watching for TRNR.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get into see that breakout over 360 and move up and create another tweezer talk like we just did about half an hour ago, because that really turned us around and sent us back to pretty much the start.
TRNR here. I think we have enough data today. If this thing, first of all, we have a series of higher lows here on the intraday chart and a dip beneath the VWAP. If that can really start to curl and move through VWAP, I see several impulse moves. So TRNR, this actually might be a decent candidate for a day trade or some type of quick scalp here in the afternoon. Again, I know I'm taking a very conservative approach here to the day, but if things pan out the way that they were kind of been on, I would not be opposed to trading TRNR here in the afternoon. If this thing really starts to give up some of where it's at right now, I'd change my mind, but otherwise not terrible here.
Yeah. I think I'm okay with, just being happy with what I got today, this morning. I really don't want to give anything back. And this market's telling me that I could end up losing something if I decided to try some of these trades. Maybe I get a few cents and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is like going up, and then it just pulls. So I'm just going to be careful, folks. You don't let me stop you from trading. I'm just going to, be a little bitch and just take it easy.
Well, shout out to you. I mean, at least you were active on some of this. I didn't feel great about it at all. I tell you what, I have no regret about it. Ask me again tomorrow when I see how the afternoon shapes up here.
Mm-hmm.
And miraculously, somehow, despite the pullback in ONDS, I'm actually still up today. So I think that the less is more approach definitely worked for me here today. Still going to keep my eye on TRNR though. I don't know that this one here is totally done for the day.
Lion, I think EIX has already started that. I was looking for the.
We'll go to this here.
I was looking for that move, the close to get over $53. Because that's when I thought we could see this turning around. I get that there's some other concerning things going on with this with regard to the Palisades fire and all the other fires in Southern California. But I was saying that the $53 level, that would be the technical level I need to see get closed over to start moving back up. And we did that on Friday. We closed above it. So we're going to see continuation of this. I could see this getting back up into the 60 handle, or maybe even a little bit higher before we really start to see, some selling or some selling pressure in this. Because this thing was just beaten up, went sideways for a little bit. And now this is, it really does look like we are starting to recover from this. But I don't know how much more we're going to recover once we hit the 50-day SMA. That's kind of what I'm targeting right now.
Okay, here's your BTAI. This one, you could also, I'd say the only, the small names here today that might give another opportunity here in the after hours, BTAI and TRNR. Those are the only ones that I'd put on my watch list for that.
Amazon is just barcoding.
Yeah, I mean, it's sold off and it's basically just staying in that little range there. It's not really doing a whole lot of anything, Amazon. Okay.
Barat, I don't really have, when it comes to day trading only, I don't really have a profit goal, especially when I'm on here, talking and trading with y'all. It's not something I really have. I might, like I said a long time ago when we started doing this is not my source of income. That's going to be other investing. But for me, the goal is to just kind of spread knowledge. I don't have a day trading goal necessarily.
Yeah, my day trading goal is all goals that are in the negative side. My day trading goal is not to get pounded. Because to 13, no, I'm serious. Because 13, to your point, first of all, the bread and butter of my investing is either going to be long-term investments. And when I say that, I mean at a minimum of 1 to 2 years as a hold time minimum. But additionally, I get my best gains from swing trade. And I mean, even if I think back to last year, I had a couple of really decent days where I was like 4 of 5 on day trading, and I hit one that ran like a full point. None of those days were better than the Pan W swing trade. That was 2 weeks. That trade was 2 weeks. The Pelosi push, it was something like 30 points. I didn't even have a ton of it. And that was one of my best trades. So I'm with that. The day trading thing here, first of all, the big benefit that I view for day trading is it really gets you adept at reading the tape. And if you can read tape, I feel like you can make good decisions on a lot of different trading here. But again, my primary goal going into this, account protection, capital preservation. I am addicted to the market. I wake up, I want to trade. But I mean, you get pounded enough times, you give up, you lose big enough on day trades enough time, you really kind of tighten that up. And that's kind of where I'm at there.
Yeah, I do have some rules when it comes to longer term investing. There are some things that if they move up much too fast in my time horizon, there's a rule that I have where I'll just sell some of it because I don't know how much more of that move is going to continue. Qualcomm was a very one I talked about a lot when it was kind of just exploding. I think it was in 2023. It just reversed really sharply, and I sold a good portion of my long-term position into that move before and just let the rest do its thing. That ended up being a pretty good decision, but it's just that's the kind of thing that I have that I do is I have a plan for the stocks that I'm getting in. If there's a certain set of rules that I have, if one of those events happens that triggers that rule, then I execute the rule, and then otherwise I just stick with my my long-term horizon for these other investments that I have, and usually it's a year or longer.
Gary says, yeah, Ryan, I agree. Watching both. Carmen, swing trading works best for me. Beach bum, yep. Lord Ryan, in my humble opinion, swing trading equals money. I do. I'm with you guys on that. But here's the thing. Like, I feel like there's something that we can learn from the market every single day. And, I'm here to try and identify different opportunities every single day. The platform that we sell here identifies opportunities every single day. Not every trader is the same. And so I'm going to try and always add knowledge and tools to my toolbox while at the same time playing the hand that the market gives me every single day. By the way, as if you did not have whiplash enough yet, SPY now moving down. We actually have this 1 minute chart here, have a nasty looking head and shoulders formation. I don't know how much stock you put into that on a 1 minute chart, but nonetheless here, SPY might be rolling over. Watch that 592 low level.
Yeah, I mean, there's also rules I have with day trading too. So like if I end up with say I have 2 or 3 losing trades, then I'll just call it good and be done with the day. Because
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I get pounded early and quickly, I just wrap it up. Because that goes back to my initial goal about capital preservation. 13, if I'm not feeling it, why force it?
Right. Yeah, I say it all the time. Don't force trades.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to end up losing more. So if I find myself in some trading positions that just aren't working out, then I'm just like, okay, well, even if this may recover later in the day, I'm not going to just continue adding capital to it or hold this capital in here. That could be a wrong move. It could end up just going much lower and never recovering. So I'm not going to stick around and find out.
Yeah,
I'm just going to I'll take the loss, just make the loss small as possible, and then just move on to something else or just call it a good day. There's other things I can make money with. I'm just not going to try and force it.
Okay, good stuff here, folks. We are about out of time here. I'm going to send you over to Trader Bacon here next. You don't have to go anywhere. We will send you there. 13, you got any closing words for the group?
Yeah, don't force anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, felt like we were kind of already doing that here, but nonetheless, any closing words for the group?
Well, hey, we did capture some of that rebound movement we got in the SPY, so well done on that. But folks, we're going to have another whole day of trading tomorrow, and we might get some better setups. So like I said, don't force anything. Preserve that capital. Let's make sure we have enough cash on hand for some of the opportunities that I'm pretty sure are going to present themselves later on this week. So let's be ready for that. And we'll talk then, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, folks.
Really good stuff here, 13. Remember, Matt also said, make sure you have dry powder in case you really need to use it. Also, make sure that you can live to fight another day. Folks, it is the highlight of the day every day, hanging out here with you in the morning, and I look forward to doing it again. Stay green.